Board Chair, would like to call to order and welcome everyone to our February 17th, 2026 School Board meeting. We have invocation tonight by Sydney.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for your mercies are new every morning. Your word says, if any of you lacks wisdom, to ask of God, and it will be given to all men liberally. We ask for your wisdom tonight and Holy Spirit to guide us. We ask your blessing on our students, our families, and teachers. And the verse I want to read is, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have approval of the agenda for tonight.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been approved agenda. Second, is there any discussion?
Madam Chair, I have a parliamentary inquiry regarding members not being present and being able to vote. And I wanted to pose that before we got started.
So, under Roberts, full participation electronically or voting has to be defined in your rules. So, it is something that you can adopt as a rule, provided the state law allows for it. But by default, a phone vote is not allowed unless your rules or state law. So either the state law would have to demand it, or your rules would have to allow it.
Would you please just
Yes.
tell them?
Yes. So, under Robert's rules, electronic participation is not allowed unless it's defined in your rules or mandated by state law. So, if you want to vote by phone, you would have to adopt rules in your policy, or if there was an overriding state law which mandated it, then that would override Roberts. So by default, there is not electronic voting, with the exception of however you define in your rules. So you could create a board policy, assuming your lawyers say it's okay with FOIA, and then they would be. But without it being your rules, there's nothing in Roberts which allows for it.
So we have nothing in it that allows that you can do that, because we haven't.
We have.
We have.
When COVID 2020 hit, no one was meeting at all, and the state passed the rule where that is allowed. That's the only way meetings were held there for a while. So I think the law has been changed to allow it.
So, and I don't give legal advice, but I do know from my understanding of the law that for nonprofit organizations, there is one part of the law which is under the Nonprofit Act. Then FOIA and how school boards are formed, I believe, are under a different title. And if you think that is, then I would let the body can decide their own rules, but I would check with the lawyer to see what that says. I'm not aware of that being mandated as being allowed in state law for Title 59 for education or for FOIA. But again, I'm not a lawyer.
I think it was done by the State Board of Trustees.
Okay. So yeah, so you should, I would recommend getting that language, because if they, for example, if they mandate it and say this is allowed, that absolutely overrides anything that's in Roberts.
So I would make the recommendation that we continue the way we're going until we get legal advice.
Just to note what the board's policy is on it for whatever relevance that is found to have. Policy BEDF states the following. I'll read it quick. To establish the basic structure for voting at board meetings, the board will conduct votes on all motions and resolutions by the employment of a yes, no, or abstention. If a board member wishes to abstain, he or she may give reason for his or her action. Board members voting on the prevailing side of an issue may move to reconsider an item at the same meeting. This motion is not debatable. There will be no representation by proxy of any member of the board at any time. All members present are authorized to speak on issues, offer and second motions, and vote. The presiding officer will have the option of speaking to, offering, and seconding motions, and voting on all items of business.
They're not voting by proxy, they are present. Doesn't say they physically have to be present.
Yeah, I didn't claim they were voting by proxy.
Okay. And I agree with Mr. Bradshaw, during COVID, there was something that we conduct meetings electronically.
So are you, let me get it together. Are you saying, Mr. Thompson, that we have done wrong because our policy doesn't say that?
No, ma'am, I'm not claiming there's wrong done or not. I'm just throwing the issue out that the concern and question has been raised about whether someone can vote over the phone. And I wanted to get a parliamentary inquiry on it, which we got that part answered. I'm not claiming that it's wrong. I'm claiming that concern has been raised about whether this is allowed or not. So I'm not trying to assert whether it is or not. I'm just raising the concern that that question is still in the air.
So,
So a parliamentary inquiry is just an opinion. It's not a ruling, doesn't need to go in the minutes, it's just an opinion.
okay,
If someone raised a point of order, then you would have to rule on that point of order.
okay. So all of this is just an
And
opinion.
the parliamentary inquiry is just an opinion.
Okay. So yours is just an opinion until we can get with the state board if you want to. We could get with the state board and see what the state board says, and then we could do a policy of it.
In their policy, which, like I said, our policy says present. It doesn't say whether it's in person or electronic.
Okay.
In person is present is present.
Okay,
That policy is probably written for the technology we have nowadays, to be honest with you.
okay.
Actually, that policy was adopted in 2001,
Okay.
that he was quoting, so.
2001, so I guess we might let it.
Ms. Leverett, I've made note of it, and I'll seek into it.
Okay, thank you, I
Yes.
appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
Is there any other discussion?
You've already given the minutes.
So the opportunity for citizens, do I
We
have
gotta
to
vote.
approve the agenda?
Yeah, you can ask for yeas and nays. Those in favor say aye.
Oh, those in favor say aye to approve this agenda,
Those opposed say no.
opposed is no. So
The ayes
ayes
have it.
have it,
Motion is adopted.
the motion is adopted. Okay, opportunity for citizens to address the board, I don't have any tonight. Now I have superintendent's report, Anderson 5 Charter School presentation, and monthly finance report, out of district tuition, 2026-2027 budget updates, Robert Anderson Middle School, and the Camps Middle School program needs. That's A through E, number 6, A through E. And I give that to my superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, the mission of the Anderson 5 Charter School is to educate students utilizing a non-traditional educational setting to produce highly skilled graduates who model integrity, citizenship, and the value of lifelong learning. This is something that Katie Brown and her team have done exceptionally well with 376 graduates since the school opened for the 2012-2013 school year. So I'd ask Katie Brown if she would come now. She's going to give you an overview of the Anderson 5 Charter School and the success we've had and what they're doing daily for our kids.
All right, good evening, Madam Chair, Anderson 5 board members, and Superintendent Dr. Kelly. Thank you for the opportunity to present tonight. I'm proud to share continued progress and the impact of Anderson 5 Charter School. Our mission is simple, and Dr. Kelly just stated it, to educate students in the individualized educational setting so that they're prepared for college and career. We meet students where they are and help them successfully crossed the finish line. And I added a few pictures through here. It was like a walk in time, because I went back through all of our classes, and it was really fun to kind of pull together, some of our journey. Anderson 5 Charter School, just in case you weren't around when it was created, is part of a broader effort to improve graduation outcomes within the district. Historically, the district graduation rate ranged between 80 to 86%. I think last year it was like 85 to 54. Since our first graduating class in 2012-2013, we've had 376 graduates. Each of those 376 graduates represents a student who may have needed something different in order to succeed. Our school is one strategic solution toward increasing that graduation rate. Who are our students? We have a unique student body, and their needs are very unique. We serve former homebound students, former homeschool students, students experiencing anxiety, which is the majority of our population, students who feel they don't fit in a traditional setting, students seeking a smaller, quieter environment, students who benefit from a self-paced structure. Many of our students simply need a setting, fewer distractions, stronger relationships, and individualized support. And what do we offer? We offer college prep and honors courses, dual credit opportunities. Our kids take a bus to AIT and Southwood, so they get career technology and arts opportunities as well. Smaller class sizes, quiet learning environment, individual academic interventions. Our setting kind of lends itself to that. Instruction and study skills and time management. Our goal is not just graduation, it's preparing them for life. Something we're really proud of on our school report card, positive school climate is foundational to student success. Our student survey results consistently reflect excellence. Each year it has been rated excellent. Students report feeling safe, supported, and connected. When students feel known and valued, attendance improves, engagement increases, and graduation becomes attainable. We are often told by parents and guardians that their student used to struggle with getting out of bed and coming to school because they didn't want to face the anxiety of what they were going into. Once they started charter, those stresses kind of faded away, and the school day became something they wanted to attend. Our graduation rate is something that we've been working hard on. And this past year we were at 95.2. We're really proud of that. We got an excellent in that category. All right, student success. This is another indicator on our high school report card, and that's how on track each grade level is. And you can see we've made steadily improvements in that, and we were at 92.1 this past year, which was excellent. So we were really proud of that. We are not satisfied with maintaining progress, though. We're committed to building on it. All right, and then something that I wanted to point out, because we just got finished with fall EOC testing, and I wanted to kind of show you the C or higher category for Biology 1, when and 100% of our students scored C or higher this fall. So we are hoping with the changes we made with curriculum and interventions that that's going to continue this spring, and we're working hard on that. And then in U.S. history, we're steadily increasing. We went up to 58.3 C or higher, and like I said, interventions, curriculum alignment, and we're hoping that that continues to grow and hopefully some new higher. All right, and we're really proud that we got an excellent on our school report card, and that was really hard work and put in by an amazing staff, and I have a few of those with me tonight.
We're gonna interrupt.
Point them out really quick. We have Herb Phillips, who's our U.S. history social studies teacher. He teaches all of them. If anybody knows, we're a faculty of about 8 total. And so we have Mr. Phillips, and we have Ms. Banaszak, who's our English instructor, and we have Ms. Major, who's our fabulous science teacher. All of them are fabulous. I'm telling you, this is not me, it's them.
Oh, I know Mr. Phillips, yes, I know.
All right, but I didn't want you just to hear that from me or us. I wanted you to hear it from the students. And we took a little snips of students talking to you and telling you what they try to get to the video. And I hope you can hear them. They are very shy.
My name is Paris Clemens. I am a 10th grader here. It's my first year here at Anderson Charter School, and I absolutely love the quiet and the quiet environment here at Charter, and I love the educating program that we use here at Charter as well. And I love how we can just come together as a community here at Charter.
Hi, my name is Levi Hoskins. I am in 10th grade here at Anderson 5 Charter School. And a reason why I love it and I got adjusted fairly quickly to the school was that when I went to a bigger school in West Side my freshman year, I kept on getting, I would say, very debilitating headaches from the stress of being in a larger crowd of people, I would say. And I would say coming here to Charter and being with a smaller group of people and with a more friendlier group of teachers, I would say, has helped a lot. And I have many friends, even a family member that goes here that can say the same.
Hi, my name's Christian and I'm a sophomore here at Charter. And when I was going to Westside, I put myself in a bad situation because there was a lot of kids there and I was below failing, and I came to Charter and my grades instantly improved. And what I like about Charter most is that I can still go to AIT and have a ride back from AIT to get back to Charter.
Hey, my name's Maddie. I'm in 11th grade, but I'm graduating as a 3-year graduate. And I like that Charter is a calmer environment compared to when I went to Hannah. And I like that I can work at my own pace and get ahead.
So one thing that got me to Charter, because I've been here my whole 3 years, my older sister went through Hannah her first 2 years, and then she went to governor school for her junior year, and then she came here for senior year. And she said that coming here was like a breath of fresh air, especially coming from a busier environment, especially at Hannah. Sometimes it's hard to feel like you have a place to fit in, or it's hard to get your work done because teachers are busy with countless other students. So coming here was just easy. It was just so simple, and it was easy as breathing. Just coming in, I feel like I can do my work, I get good grades, and it's just simple as that.
Since being here at Charter School, I get more one-on-one time with the teachers, which is something that you can't get at like a bigger high school, and it feels more like the teachers know you better and like, I don't know, like are more like want to help you.
There's like a connection.
Yeah, there's like a connection with the teachers and the students. It's just really great. It's a great environment.
We love Charter!
So in closing, I just want to thank y'all for your support. We think we have something really special in that little corner of the building. And like I said, I thank the faculty because I'm telling you, it's not me, it's them. And that's where the rubber meets the road, is that instructor in the classroom. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Katie, I'd like to say thank you for all you've done. I remember when I first came on the board, I was the board liaison with the charter school, and I remember you being scared to death because you didn't know what the graduation rate statewide was, 25%, and you didn't know what to expect, but just a phenomenal job by you and your staff, and even if it does include Herb Phillips. But, you know. But I do appreciate everything all y'all do, really do.
Thank y'all for your hard work.
Yes, thank you, Katie.
Nice job, Katie.
Great job.
Thank you. Well, that is a great way to start our meeting off, looking at those students and watching them. I don't know if you saw, but a lot of those students have come to our student insight meetings, and it is pure joy to hear it straight from a child's heart. So, Katie, thank you. Teachers, thank you again, and congratulations, 100% pass rate. That is awesome. Congratulations for that. Yes, thank you so much. All right, Amy Hurd, if you'll come forward now, is going to present to you all the monthly financial report and provide updates for the 26-27 budget.
Madam Chair, Dr. Kelly, members of the board, good evening.
we will start with the financial statements. And, you know, I know that sometimes y'all probably think, she sounds like a broken record. She keeps saying, like, you gotta get through the end of property taxes to really kind of look at where we stand with our taxes. And this is just a perfect example this month of where we are. So I went back and looked at every particular month that I have presented to you with this comparison, and every month since we started this fiscal year, our fund balance has been less than the same time the previous year. So either we had received less revenue, spent more money, but when we looked at our fund balance for this particular month, every single month, and compared it to the previous month, we had a larger deficit in our fund balance. And this month, that is not the case. So if you look at the very top there, you can see, looking at January of last year versus January of this year, our current fund balance right now is 27 million versus 21 million the same time last year. And if you'll look down right here is this number that I had to call the county treasurer and say, is this number right? Did you accidentally give us somebody else's revenue that you're gonna come back next month and take from us? Our property tax revenue for the month of January was $29.6 million. And last year it was 21.7. So $8 million increase in 1 year. We haven't added that many new things, but it's like we've talked about. Folks start getting their property tax bills in October. Some want to pay it immediately just to kind of get it off of their desk or wherever they put it at their house. So they pay it immediately. Mortgage companies, they sometimes pay them before the end of the year. Sometimes it's in January. We're at the mercy of the mortgage company whenever they pay the county. Businesses sometimes pay before the end of the year, depending on if they are a year-end company, they want the tax write-off. They probably pay before the end of the year, maybe not if they're not a 12/31 calendar year end. But I did call, like I said, I really did call Jason and say, is this right? And he said, it is. He said, what happened was Duke Energy paid you all in one time in January, and last year they were under appeal, so they paid a 20% deal and then paid you throughout later after the appeal was finished. So it's one of those things that this is just happens to be the year that, again, probably next month I will feel good that we are where we're gonna be for the majority of our tax money. We're gonna get tax money every month because we have vehicle taxes and other people that are just gonna pay their property taxes late. But for the most part, we will know everything on our property tax line, the big dollars of our property tax line by the end of February. So we'll have that. But I did just want to share with you, this is a good example of where payment can really fluctuate. That is a huge change. We don't typically see that. And you can see over here in the year-to-date column how that has impacted our year-to-date property tax revenue. Our budget for the year in that line item is $49 million. So you can still see that we are almost $6 million short still. So we're still gonna get some additional money throughout the rest of the year, but we're in really good shape from our property tax standpoint. If you look at the investment income, it is continuing to go down. We have more money in our bank account this year than we did last year, but our investment income is going down. Obviously, if you note down here at the bottom, that's due to our investment rates of where we have the money in that LGIP is local government investment pool. So this time last year it was a 4.6, now we're earning 3.96, which is still very high. I was talking to one of our local banks in the last 2 weeks, and he said, I can't come close to matching that, so y'all are still doing really well by putting it there. So feel really good about that. State revenue is, again, up slightly from last year. We expected that with what the state gave us during the budget process last year. And then our transfers and grants, this number was, we made an error in this number right here in January, and we corrected it in February. So it was reported twice, so that number is a little bit high for January. So if you look at total revenues, again, everything looks really good. I think from this standpoint, where we are right now, and looking, and when I look through the financial statements, I don't know if you guys looked through them, there are some accounts that we still haven't spent the money. Some of that we know.
Some of that is stipends that we pay at the end of the year for mentors and those kind of things. We have summer school accounts that we will not use until after school is out, so some of that money is still sitting there. And then our schools, we talk with our schools and our principals about making sure that they are spending the funds that they have in their schools on the needs of the teachers and the school building of what they need. So I feel really good where we are. We are trying to be fiscally responsible. If they don't spend it, then we will come back to you at the end and see if it would be the pleasure of the board to move that to the capital projects fund. But we don't ever want that to be our goal. Our goal is to make sure that the money goes into the classroom for the students and the educational purposes. But we do talk and do look at that throughout the year. And as when I talk about budget in a few minutes, we'll talk about some other things that we're doing as we're looking at the financial statements. But from the financial statements, I think we are in really good shape. Very good month on the revenue side, very, very good month on revenue. And is there any questions?
One question.
Yes, sir.
Does your office track in any way the growth going on in our district? For example, like maybe you were to be able to track number of payers of property taxes, where you may have 50,000, payers, and then 2 years later you got 53,000, or is there any other way it's tracked the growth?
I only track like assessments.
Okay.
So I do track assessments and revenue, but I don't know how many people
Thank you.
pay that. But we might could get that from the treasurer if
That's
that's
okay.
something. Yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
we track the assessments monthly. We get that information from the county monthly. And then we do track that. Okay, and so if we look at sales tax, this one was a little bit of an interesting month. Normally I stand up and tell you sales tax, we're doing better this month than we have in previous months. But that was not the case this time. This is November collections that we received in January, and it's highlighted in yellow here. You can see it's 1.267 million. And so that was $88,000 less than the previous month and $44,000 less than the same time in the previous year. So this is one of those months that I'm standing up saying it's less money than last month, it's less money than the previous year. But as I was looking at it to speak to you, I want you to see that, so it's 1.267 million. So I went up here and I was like, let's look at previous months. We've been over $1.3 million since our March collection. So this is, actually February was 1.4. So the last time we were down below at least 1.3 million was January collections of last year. So that is something that we need to watch, that trend. Again, any school district that does not have a 1 cent sales tax would love to be getting $1.2 million from a sales tax. This is not, we're still very grateful for this, but I just always want to be transparent with you. This is a little concerning as to why we've been in 1.4 million, 1.3 million, 1.3 million, now we're 1.2. I fully expect next month we'll probably blow it out of the water because it's December, so we're gonna have our Christmas sales. December is typically always our largest month of the year. So I don't think, if I have to stand up here next month and tell you that for some reason the numbers went down, then we absolutely will have to start tracking and seeing what's going on. Hoping that this is just an anomaly, but just wanted to be very transparent with you to see, 1.2, 1.1, 1.3, 1.5, 1.4, and now we're down to 1.2. So just wanted you to see that. But again, still coming in strong, a lot higher than all of the initial projections when we did sales tax. Any questions on sales tax or financial statements? Dr. Keller, would you like me to keep going? Mm-hmm. Okay, out of district tuition. Okay. I know last month we talked about out of district tuition. This is the calculation that ASD5 uses based on state law as to how to calculate out of district tuition. And so you can see it's based on, we look at our 24-25 collections to project 25-26 numbers, If you'll remember, we do this, we do a preliminary one in June before we start the school year, and then we typically do a final in January. But because we had the funds frozen, we knew that we weren't gonna have to, we do the final to shore up everything and tell folks what they need to, how we need to adjust the payment for the second semester. If we overcharge them, we refund the money. If they've already paid and they needed to pay more, we don't ask for that, but if somebody new comes in, we use the final. But because we had chosen the amount, we didn't have to do that. But we did do the calculations anyway. We wait until we get the audit report, we do the calculations. And as you can see, the 25-26 calculation for students that are not in Anderson County should be $5,376. However, the board had decided to freeze it a few years back, and, let me see what year that was, I got it right here. 23-24 is when we froze it, and the amount we froze it at was $4,588. So we're still in compliance because we are under what, the calculation is the max. And so because we're under it, we are still good. We currently don't have any students right now that are not from Anderson County in our school district. So if you are an Anderson County resident, you get a credit for equalization tax that your family pays. So they get a credit. So the calculation would be the maximum of $4,931, and we currently are paying $4,000, or any student that would like to come into Anderson 5 that is not zoned for Anderson 5 is currently paying $4,148 if they are an Anderson County resident.
And how many, you said we have, like 20-something?
Mr. Ballard, do you know how many districts? Okay. I would think it's 20, 30. I think we're somewhere in that, not counting teachers.
And districts 3 and 4 don't charge out of
Okay,
district?
districts 1, 4, and 5 do charge out-of-district tuition. Districts 2 and 3 do not. And so I went on for a little further and said, do you think you're gonna change that procedure for next year? And District 3 said the intent is not to start charging next year. Because they were the ones we heard might start charging. And from what I was told, that is not their board. Obviously, that is from a financial source, and as we talk openly to try to communicate among districts together. And so they did not think that they will start charging. But Anderson 1, 4, and 5 currently do charge for students to come in.
And I've said for years we shouldn't charge if they want to come.
Well,
And it's not enough to,
And I've agreed for years.
Let me show you this right here. Okay,
shocked.
so the Educational Scholarship Trust Fund, that is the $7,500 that families can apply for from the state to see if they're eligible. And so this is the state website, and Anderson 5 is one of these approved educational service providers. We had to go in and fill out a lot of paperwork and send in documents to be approved by the state. So if you happen to click on approved vendors, you will see that we are an approved provider. And if you go here to this apply now, it gives you the eligibility. It tells all about how you can try to get that money for families that could potentially want to come in. So this opened up January 15th. And so I just wanted to share that with you. There is a way that the scholarship is $7,634 for the year that will be coming up, 26-27. There are criteria. You have to see if you're eligible.
stop right there.
Okay. So a family of 4, their family, they could potentially be eligible if the family makes less than $160,000. It's pretty high. I mean, it's not like it's a $50,000 threshold. In my opinion, it's a pretty high.
I'll agree to disagree.
Okay. You think that, okay.
Okay, text me.
So
You'd be
that,
yeah.
this is you have to do this, and this is the requirement.
So if we have, just case in point, husband and wife work at a good manufacturing job, so now they gotta pay for their kids to come here just because they make a little bit above that.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
I still, yeah.
Yes, sir. You are correct about that. I wanted y'all to know that this is an option. If you choose to keep the payments, this is an option. If the board decides they don't wanna charge next year, that is absolutely fine too. Just be very transparent. We currently have $95,000 in the budget for out-of-district tuition. So if we determine that we don't want to charge next year for students to come in, we're gonna need to put that on the budget as an elimination of revenue.
And refresh my, if they come in, we do not get their base student cost to the district they leave. How does that work?
They are in our calculations. So for finance, two very important dates from a funding standpoint, the 45th day of school and the 135th day of school. And so Pam Evans and Power School folks run reports on the 45th day of school, and we send that all down to the state. And then they run it through all of their magic numbers at the state. It used to be very easy for me to stand up here and tell you, base student cost, I could run a formula and say, these 20 students, this is how much we're getting from the state. It's not as easy anymore. But if they come in, no, we're not getting anything from their previous district, but they are counting in our numbers that go to the state that funds Anderson 5. So if you just take the general fund state funding and divide it by our number of students, that is a very broad, generic look. It's about $5,000 a child.
So does that mean that if somebody came from District 3 to District 5, we're getting, and paid?
We're getting double.
We get,
We are getting.
we're getting more for that student than we would anyone else.
Because their family is not living here to pay taxes.
But,
So like vehicles and RVs and second homes and all that.
But they're not
we
paying
may
on
be-
their home.
Yes, we may be getting that from families that live in Anderson 5 and the funding, so they would be paid. But yes, sir, that is correct. If you are out of district currently, you are paying to come in, and we are getting to count you in our count that we send to the state.
So we're double dipping.
So is everybody else.
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
so, when's the proper time to make a motion to eliminate it?
Usually we vote in June,
As I say,
correct?
from my standpoint, I think we'll need to know from budget, because I'll need to take it out of the budgeted
Okay.
revenue. So I would think in the next month or two, it should come up as a vote, because right now we're just under
Okay,
superintendent's
let's,
report.
I would make not a recommendation, but
Well, yeah, I think we should go ahead and vote on this, so that we have time to put the money into the budget, and make it effective for the next school year.
Yeah, because we're done for fiscal year 25-26. Like, we've already.
well,
so
let
this-
people
anything we
prepare
do
ahead
will
of,
be 26,
but it could
27.
help people prepare for next year ahead of time.
I know we discussed this in great length the last time we voted, and the biggest concern we had was some of our schools were at capacity, and those are the ones that are getting all the out-of-county students. And so if we said, yes, we're not gonna charge anything, are we gonna get a influx? And now that any student can go to any school in any, that has a vacancy, are we filling up our school by letting the out-of-district students come into our district for free? I thought that was our
Yeah.
biggest concern when we voted it down last year.
My thought on that is that, we've got these students that have left us, okay? Our enrollment is down. We need to be doing everything we can to attract families, to fill those seats, rather than, add $5,000 to them to run them away.
And that's kind of my thought as well, but
And just a reminder, when you said that, it is per child. So if a family, we have a couple families that have multiple children.
But we put a cap on it.
I think we talked about it, but I
Yeah.
don't know that we
Oh.
ever.
yeah, we did.
I thought we put
Talked about it,
Okay. I thought we put a cap on it after so many kids, it was,
and maybe we did, but I
I just
I
know
know we
that,
talked about it.
I know that, just to be transparent, it was, these students were all going to Hannah. And Hannah's at our capacity, and they're not going anywhere else. All the students that are out of district are going to Hannah, and that was our concern. And Hannah's population is not going down, it's
Yeah.
going up.
It is going back. It is.
I thought, okay.
Yeah,
I
it's going
thought,
down a little bit.
Amy, out of curiosity, if you were calling around, do you remember how many out-of-district tuition in Anderson won? Any idea?
I did not ask number of students.
Okay.
Amounts, I kinda got, the rest of them, Anderson 1 and 4 are about $3,000. We are the highest, but I don't know how many students.
Because, I mean, in District 3, I don't know how many folks are going down to Star.
That's where we're tending to lose.
A lot.
That 3 is where our folks are going.
And if you look at the ones that are charging, 1 and 4, are filling up. You know, they're not competing for students. They're filling up. So, yes, they can slow their thing down by charging, which some of them have done. Where we need to get in that competition mode instead of just.
And I know District 3, that's why they dropped theirs, because their numbers were dropping and the floodgates opened. To be honest, we lost a lot of kids from the McLeese area. They're probably as close to Crescent and Star Ivy as they are to West Side and Rams.
That's what I heard from folks, was it wasn't that they were necessarily trying to get out of Anderson 5, it was just that it was just as close
Yeah, it is.
to go there as it was to come.
Well, if the universal choice comes about, this would do away with the out-of-district tuition, would it not?
Out-of-district tuition?
Yes.
I think Ms. Burris is asking about, so we have school choice that you guys voted on, and that's all internal. And then the state next year is starting school choice, where you can go anywhere you
Right.
want in the state, but you still, if we have out-of-district tuition, you still would have to pay to come in. So the state is making us open it up, but we can still charge you to come in. So they are requiring us to open it up to anybody, but we still could charge.
And if we did this for a year, and we saw it had unintended consequences.
I'll do the I will always do the calculation.
Yeah, we could change it the next year.
Sure.
I will always do the calculation. We typically bring the preliminary to you in June, because I need to get through toward the end of the year to start projecting what it'll be, because I don't wanna be grossly off when we tell our parents. I don't wanna be $600-800 off and I've overcharged a parent. But I do try to go on the aggressive end, because I don't wanna hurt the school district either. So it's a fine balance of trying to keep it as close as I can, because I can always pay the parent back. So that's why we always do the preliminary and the final. We do the preliminary, I get it as close as I can get it, and we typically do that in June, because I have as many months of revenue as I can. I only really have to guess June, July, and August for the calculation if we do it in June. And then when we finalize it, we go back and we look and see every payment, and if we've overcharged anybody, we always write them a check right back. And Mr. Galloway just shared 25, we have 25.
And I do know a few years back, we had a family with 3 kids in the West Side cluster, and they sold and moved just to keep them paying that, to District 5.
And we stopped it when they moved.
Oh, yeah, trust me.
When they moved in zone, we stopped it that day.
Yeah. But I mean, that was the reason they did, they moved to what paying now.
It was a lot, I remember, we had to work.
Yeah.
with them.
Oh, yeah.
So, I know we're in action items, our superintendent's report.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can throw in a motion here.
Okay.
I make a motion that we eliminate the out-of-district tuition effective the 26-27 school year to 0.
I'll second it.
policy. It has been moved and second that we do not charge for inter-district children to come to District 5. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair, if I'm in order, I'd make a motion to lay this item on the table.
Say it
Second.
again.
So, what I believe what he wants to do is make a motion to postpone. So the motion will lay on the table for the order. If there's another immediate thing we need to be brought to attention. I think what council is to make a motion to postpone.
Are you trying, might have been advised to see if you're trying to make a motion to postpone it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I make a motion that we postpone the issue.
Second it.
Postpone indefinitely or postpone for a particular time?
Postpone indefinitely or for a particular time that you want to use it.
Ms. Hurd, did you say there was a month specifically that would be ideal?
If we are going to do it for next year, I think it would be ideal for us to start talking about it in March or April as we're doing the budget process. So since we are going to have to take revenue all out of the budget, I think we need to be able to discuss it during the budget process. So I would think March and April is the best time frame to get it into the budget process for the 26-27 school year.
Madam Chair.
My politician is going to explain what he needs to do.
So the motion to table would be only used if you need to put something aside temporarily in order to address another issue. You can make a motion to postpone indefinitely, which would kill the motion if adopted. Or you can make a motion to postpone it to a later time in this meeting, or you can make a motion to postpone it to the next meeting.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to postpone the issue of out-of-district tuition to the next meeting, the regular board meeting in March.
I second it.
That means the motion, there's a motion to postpone, made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
There's a motion that's been made to postpone it until the next meeting and a second. Is there any other discussion
Discussion on the motion to postpone.
on the motion to postpone?
The only thing I'd like to add to that discussion would be to, if we could just request numbers from Amy and be able to do that, to have it ready for us, because I prefer to have some numbers and some data to make decisions if we do it next month.
And can I ask, would you like the number of students the other districts have?
That'd be helpful, yes.
Point of order.
There's another motion.
So, we're postponing until the next meeting. That means it's automatically coming up as a motion in the next meeting.
If you said that, that would be a general order for, if this is voted, yes, it would be a general order for the next meeting. So now we say, if there's no further discussion, those in favor say aye. Those in favor of postponing say aye.
Yeah.
If there's no further discussion, those in favor of postponing the meeting to the motion of the next meeting say aye.
Okay.
I
if
like to
there's
raise
no-
a hand so everybody can see who's voting.
Okay. We're now, being there's no other discussion, we'll now vote for postponing it to the next meeting
Those in favor say aye.
by raising your hands.
Aye.
Okay.
Those
Aye.
opposed say no.
The opposers say no.
This time it is
Aye.
postponed and it's-
Alls have it, and it's postponed to the next meeting, which will be in March.
All
March.
right, and I will finish up with budget. It is our favorite time of year. We'll be spending lots of time together over the next few months in our board meetings talking about budget. And so, I get excited. I know y'all like, oh God, is it that time of year again? I love it this time of year, and by June, I'm like, no, I feel like y'all, do we have to talk about budget again? So, just a reminder, as we're talking about the budget, for fiscal year 26-27. This is just what a school budget is, just a reminder. It's a projection. We're doing our very best to give you the most accurate information that we have. It's something that we will review monthly while we're adopting next year's budget, and after it is adopted, you guys look at the budget monthly as we do our financial statements. It's also something that I review monthly, as well as the finance staff, to see if there are any concerns as we're going through. A budget should align with our goals, our district goals and priorities. When we make decisions as to what we want in next year's budget, it should be what our priorities and goals are. It should be sustainable. We don't need to, if we just absolutely can't do it, then we need to know, and that will be for me to give you the numbers to see if it is sustainable or not. But the most important thing for me that I just want to make sure everybody is aware, and I know you all know this because we do it with our personal budgets, but it's a living, breathing document for me. This is something that I truly look at a lot throughout the month and as we present to you. So this is not something that I bring to you at board meetings and then forget about it until the next month. It is something that I truly work on, my team works on throughout the month, just looking at everything. So I do just want you to know it is something that is what we, like we say here, it's a living, breathing document that we work through. So again, we talk about the state process, and then we'll talk about the Anderson 5 process. This is something that you saw last year. I just think this is a great depiction of the state budget process. The state superintendent starts out with her budget, and then the governor comes in with his budget, and then it goes to the House Ways and Means Committee. They actually began debating the budget today on the floor, the House Ways and Means. After they have their budget, it'll go to the full House, then Senate Finance, full Senate, Conference Committee, and then the governor. So as you can see, like I said, we started today in this one, in this House Ways and Means Committee, so we still have a long way to go. But I just think this is a great depiction of where it's come from, where it's going, and where it will go in the future. Part of the budget process at the state level is the Board of Economic Advisors meets and provides the lawmakers with how much money they have to develop their budget. And I laugh because school districts really kind of have to do the backwards approach. The way they do it is the right approach. How much money do we have? So then to know what we can buy or spend with that money. Unfortunately, we have to wait on them to tell us how much money we have, so we have to do all the cost analysis first and know everything that's gonna cost us money, and then wait for the revenue to come in to see what we can match up, instead of knowing the revenue that we have and then attaching expenses with it. But I just wanted to show you this. The Board of Economic Advisors met on February the 12th. They did not adjust their revenue projections. That is pretty unusual for them. Typically, you'll see, well, the state has another $1 billion worth of revenue, or $900 million. They did not adjust their projections. So when House Ways and Means started today, they're using the information that they provided them back in November. The committee did say that the fund balance is expected to be about $90 million over what they were anticipating, but they did not feel like that was enough to change the projection, because EIA is coming in currently below projections. So it's currently $4.8 million below. They said that state sales tax, corporate tax, and withholdings are less than projections, but investment income and non-withholding is above expectations. So that's what's keeping them from keeping it kind of flat. We've got some things that are not coming in as projected, but we've got some other things that are coming in above, and they really want to wait till the end of tax season when they truly have all the corporate tax returns and the personal tax returns to see what does the state projection really look like. So the Board of Economic Advisors will meet again in March and in April. So chances are when the Senate gets the budget, hopefully there will be more money, because if not, that means the state is not meeting its projections and they're going to have less money, and then the House is probably going to have to start over as well. So the hope is that either the projection will stay the same and they'll all go through the legislative process with the funding that they're looking at right now, or potentially additional funding in March or April, and that would be when the Senate is working through the budget process. So just some important dates, we talked about most of these. House Ways and Means started today, they should be done by the end of the week. Doesn't go to the full House until March 10th. Chances are I probably won't have information before our next board meeting on allocations, but we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope. But I will know what they did, so what they're proposing out of the full House. So that will be very helpful. The Senate has not finalized their calendar yet, so I don't really know exactly when they're even gonna, again, Senate Finance will start on the budget and then full Senate. Everything I'm reading is that'll probably be late April before the full Senate starts on the budget. And then they will have their last day on May 14th. So just, again, I know we talk about this each time while we're doing the budget. When I look at legislation of interest, most of the time, I'm only looking at items that may have a potential funding impact. So I know you guys all probably get the school board's weekly statements right now that tell you what the legislators are doing. And I know there's the board training and the ethics, and there's some instructional grading policies that are being discussed, and there's lots of sign language, and so there's a lot of bills out there. But if I'm bringing it forward to you tonight, it probably has a funding impact on that. So just wanted to let you know that. The biggest thing for every school district in South Carolina is that the state is looking at the state to aid classroom funding formula. That used to be the old base student cost. So they changed from base student cost and went to state aid to the classroom. It is a huge formula that has lots of different calculations in it. It's our index of tax-paying ability, which is what is our ability to collect taxes as compared to other districts in the state. So we are not as wealthy as a Beaufort or a Horry, but we are more wealthy can collect taxes than a District 2 or a District 3, just due to our tax base. The businesses that are here, that's no fault of anybody, but the state tries to weigh that out and make all of that a 1.0 pot. And so they look and they determine what our index of tax-paying ability is, and that goes into our formula. So the more that this school district can raise taxes on the businesses in the community, the state says, I need to give you less money. So that's part of the formula. And then it's also how fast are we growing or losing as compared to other people. And one of the biggest things, if you'll remember at the end of last year's budget, the big issue was that charter schools were growing so much faster than public schools. And so the money was all getting shifted from public schools over to public charter schools because they get additional funding because they don't have a tax base. So the legislators said they wanted a task force. That's what this has been assigned to. It was given to Revenue and Fiscal Affairs. I don't know if any of you know Frank Rainwater, but his office is the one that conducted this survey starting at the end of last legislative session and presented his findings. He presented his findings to the legislators maybe the last week of January, but he had done some preliminary back out in November to them, so some of them had some information back then. Again, it's just looking at what can we do to make the funding formula a little more easy to understand for school districts. How can we make it more fair for public schools and charter schools? This is not a fight among us, it's just how to equitably allocate the funding that we have so that everybody understands it. And then just looking at the funding model, how can we make it better? So the Revenue and Fiscal Affairs had 9 recommendations, and it's a big packet, I do have it. And the governor's budget accepted 3 of the recommendations. Now again, the lawmakers heard this either the end of January, the 1st of February. They were supposed to hear it on one of the snow days that the whole state was impacted. So it may actually have, I believe he actually did go to give this to the legislators in February now. So they may adopt all 9 recommendations. I'm just gonna kind of hit the very high points of this. They're taking the pot of money that they have for public schools, regular school districts and charter school districts, and they're gonna pull out the charter school districts and fund them over here, but it's not gonna continue to keep running through the public school. So if they grow and public schools don't grow, it's not gonna pull more of the money. The state will have to put in money to the charter schools, money to the public schools, that's one. It used to be that, when I first started, it used to be that each grade level had a weighting. So a kindergarten student may have more of a weighting than a fourth grade student or a fifth grade student. A high school student may have had more weight. Every student grade had a weighting. They changed that when they went to the initial state-aided classroom, and all students are a 1.0. But if you are a CATE student, a CTE, if you're taking one of the CTE classes, then you are a 1.2. In this funding formula, they're taking that away as well. So every student's gonna be a 1.0. Currently, we get funding for, if you are a gifted and talented student, we get a 0.15 weighting. That's going away. ML, we get a 0.15 for ML, that's going away. We currently get poverty, I believe they're keeping the poverty weighting. So all they're just kind of saying, they're trying to make it more simple. So instead of, we have to keep up with everything, you know, if you are in poverty, we have to go in there and put a little 0.15 in. If you're an ML, you get a 0.15. If you're a CTE, you get a 1.2. Everybody's gonna be a 1.0. And so they've done all of the math calculations where they're saying that this is not gonna cost the state a lot of money. They're gonna put a hold harmless in there, so in that if they do this new calculation and Anderson 5 is supposed to get less money next year than we got this current year that we're in, they will hold us harmless in this year, but we would not get additional money. Some of the other ones that, the biggest one that school finance folks wanted is back to what I have mentioned to you earlier, 2 important dates for finance folks and funding, 45th day and 135th day. So the 45th day for most districts are around October. And you have to have everything to the state by the end of November. The state works in December, and they adjust our funding in January. All but 13 school districts lost money last year. Same thing happened on the 135th day. They readjust our numbers. Do you know when that is? June 30th. The year is over and they say, oh, by the way, we've been telling you all year you're gonna get $10 million, but now at June 30th, now that your year is over, your calculations only show that you're gonna get 9.8 million, so you're not gonna get any of this last paycheck that you're supposed to get. It's too late by the time we get that. And so the school district folks were trying to say, let's set the amount on the 135th day, so for next year, whatever our 135th day is this year, that's what we would be funded next year. So, but they also were gonna put a little caveat in there, if you're a fast-growing district, there was gonna be a way to account for that. But for districts that our boards are all doing their budgets right now, and then we're losing money in January, and we're losing money in June, it would help us to stabilize. The governor did not accept that recommendation. I don't know what the lawmakers will do. That's just this is a big deal, and until they get this piece figured out, we probably won't know what kind of numbers and money we're getting from the state. This is our biggest line item in the budget that comes from the state. Right now, we're about $56 million in this particular line item. This is the one that you'll hear them talk about, a 12 teacher-pupil ratio. That's in this calculation. This is just a massive calculation, and the state is the only one that can do it. So every school district in the state is at the mercy of the State Department of Education to tell us the numbers. So every board and finance person is going through this right now because most of us, or a lot of us, used to be here when we could do base student costs, and I could get it really, really close. So standing here right now, we could do what the state's doing, and I could say, here's what the revenue's gonna be, and here's all the costs, and feel really good. Now it's, here's all the costs, what are y'all's priorities, and then we have to wait on the revenue to come in. So I just wanted you to know that. That's a big one. Finance folks and superintendents are watching that one. We both have separately, it's been a big deal at the superintendent's meeting. I know Mr. Rainwater came to the superintendents and spoke to all of them. He's been to the finance meeting to speak to all of us. And unfortunately, both of those were before he met with the legislators. So he said, I will not give y'all the numbers until I know what they're gonna do. Because they know the numbers. They know how it's going to impact every district. depending on these recommendations, but they will not share it because he's like, I don't need everybody losing their mind over what may happen. So just wanted you to know that. Child nutrition program, that's another big one. They're saying free breakfast for everybody across the state. We already do that in Anderson 5, so kudos to the board and Mr. Grant and Quentin for making that a priority for our district. We talked about the Education Scholarship Trust Fund earlier. That's the $7,634 that you are eligible to apply for. The state found out that currently 10% of that funding is going to homeschool children. So families are getting the money and homeschooling their children for that. So they're trying to close that loophole to say that it has to be, you have to be going to a public school or charter school, private school, something like that. It can't be a homeschool. And there was also last year some language in that you could get the scholarship, and if you needed extra services inside your district, the district could charge you for interventions, and you could use your scholarship money to pay inside your zone district. That is not something that Anderson 5 did. And so, but they're now saying that you cannot use any funds inside of your zone district for any reason. We do have a couple families that are here. One or two of those families, Mr. Galloway, if you remember, is a couple of those children are using the trust fund to pay the out-of-district tuition, and it pays all their fees associated when they come into the schools. So Mr. Galloway and I both have to work with the parent and to get them the paperwork they need to send to the state. They send all the paperwork to the state puts it directly into our bank account. That's how that works. And then the boat bill, I know we've talked about that many, many times. It appears this is moving forward very rapidly. It's House bill, the Senate bill is also out there, but I think they're close to mirroring right now. It does appear that this is going to pass. And the biggest thing there's a couple things I want you to see. The tax exemption, it'll be phased in over 3 years. So it will not be a hit over the first year. And here's the wording exactly from the legislative document that I received. The fiscal impact, because they email us a lot, my counterparts, I appreciate their help very much. The state emails us and says, this is what we're thinking about, how much will it cost you? And so we have to read it and try to guess as to what it will cost us. And so that's what they're trying to get the fiscal impact when they do that. So when the state did the fiscal impact, it's going to cost the state $47 million to reduce this boat tax down. And 70% of that is going straight to impact the schools. So they know that. Now there is some talk of changing fees or charging a fee, but that will go straight to the counties, and the school district still will not get any of that money. So we still will be this 70% loss. And their approach at the state level was, you need to be talking to your local school boards right now to adjust the budgets and plan your millage phase-in as to how you are going to recoup these funds at the local level. I don't know that that's the pleasure of our board, but that's why at the state level, they are saying they feel good about doing this. It is going to help folks reduce their boat bill. I believe now the boat and the motor will be one bill, and it's going down from a 10% value to a 6% value, and it'll be phased in over 3 years. So for us, that's about $700,000. So in addition to the top line of, as we were talking about, if the board does decide to reduce out-of-district tuition, we'll need to pull that off of the revenue line item, and then we need to go ahead and plan about $240,000 will come out of our property taxes next year, because this will go into effect after the 26 bills. So we're still watching it, but it appears that it is going to pass. It is moving rapidly at the legislative level, and so it's going to be a $700,000 loss. That was last year's calculation, maybe more depending on who bought boats over the summer and what's sitting out there. We'll have to rely on the county auditor and treasurer to give us that information. We have a meeting Thursday with them, so I can reach out and see if they've got any numbers for our next meeting on that. But it looks like we're going to need to phase that in over the next 3 years. And last year it was a $700,000 loss for Anderson 5. So next is going to go really fast. That was the biggest stuff I wanted to tell y'all about the budget. As we are planning our budget, what we look at is the mandatory cost. What do we not have an option to change. I'll go through what some of this is. What new state funding are we gonna get? Is the district going to ask for millage? Then we look at budget requests from the board, the schools, the district departments, and any that the superintendent will have, and at the same time going through the current budget to see what savings we have. So as of tonight, we have not received any of the mandatory cost estimates yet from the state, but what that would include would be health insurance from the legislators, whatever they decide. The House Ways and Means, initial committee, what is that? It's before there's a full House Ways and Means. The subcommittee, yes. The subcommittee, has said right now, no increase for employees or employers. Just being honest, I don't know that in my entire time we've ever not had an employer increase. We haven't had an employee increase in about 7 to 10 years, but they've always had an employer increase, so that would make me very happy if we didn't have that, but we'll just keep watching to see because we're so early in the process. Retirement, we haven't had an increase on the employer or the employee side. We haven't had an increase on the employee side in several years, probably about 6 or 7 on that. Employer, we haven't the last 2 years, so we'll see about that. Workers' compensation, property and casualty, all of that is probably going up with hurricanes and ice storms and folks that fall and just the nature of the game. We probably are gonna see an increase in that. The state will determine if teachers get a step increase, so we wait on that. If the state mandates it, it's not something we have a choice on. And the same thing with the bus driver increase. They typically tell us what the minimum bus driver increase has to be. So those are what as I'm working on the budget, I'll call mandatory costs. We really can't change any of this information during the budget process. The potential funding would be tier 3. What kind of additional money we're getting for tier 3. And if you'll remember, that is the Act 388, when they took property taxes off of residents, they added a 1% sales tax. And the state said if it doesn't fund the funding the way it should, then we'll give you more money from the state, and they call that tier 3. And so that 1% sales tax is an allocation that we get from the state. Aid to classroom is the one we just talked about. That's the largest funding item in our budget on the revenue side from the state, and that's the one that the legislators are looking at changing. So that one could have impact. Typically, state fringe and health insurance funding, that'll depend on if there's gonna be any kind of retirement increase or if they're doing any health insurance increase. So neither one of those may change if we don't have those. And then if we get any additional EIA funding from the state. Millage. Just so you know, as we start this, I have a disclaimer down here, underlined and in bold. This is not a recommendation of the superintendent, of the finance department, or any of the staff of Anderson School District 5 to raise millage. But I want to share with you the millage calculation and how it works so you understand when you guys make the determination as to what you would like to do, you have all of the information. So the state says that millage can be raised by the state CPI plus the Anderson 5 population growth. And they have already provided us with state CPI is 2.63%. They will tell us what our Anderson 5 population growth is. We'll add those two numbers together, and that's what we'll get the total percent that we have the opportunity to add to the millage. So it's just a simple calculation. I'll put it out here for you. We know the percentage. We take the percentage. 191 is our current millage. If you wanted to raise millage, this will tell you how much you can raise. However, just a reminder, we do have the local legislation that says you can't raise more than 8 mills. There's been some question as to that, but we haven't looked into it because we haven't needed to. But we've had some folks reach out and say that the new millage calculation may supersede that law. I don't know. We haven't needed to know that yet, so we haven't been that far. And then I always just tell you, if you choose to do millage, how much 1 mill is or how much the total millage increase would be. But again, that will be completely up to the board as to however you'd like to move forward with that. Last month, I know that Dr. Kelly mentioned as we were talking about budget that any budget requests that anybody had, if they could email those to her, then we would start working on the cost in the finance office. And so we have received 2 requests from board members. One was board compensation, and I believe that's gonna be discussed later tonight, so we'll just leave that, there for tonight's meeting. And then the second request was looking at school staff compensation. And so we currently have reached out to about 7 or 8 school districts and just listed a laundry list of data clerks, office staff, LPNs, RNs, assistants, and just seeing where Anderson 5 is as compared to those school districts. So we'll have that for you next month as well. And so next month, I'm really hoping to have a lot of, I'm gonna tell you in a minute, the things that we're working on. But next month, before we meet next time, I am hoping to have a lot of calculations done and a lot of information for y'all to kind of drive where superintendent drive and you guys drive where we're gonna take next year's budget. So I just wanted to see and make sure that, is there any other board requested budget items that you want me to be calculating to put in the presentation for next month?
Amy, I'm working on some things, just general questions by departments. For example, let's take transportation. How many bus drivers are we short? Operations, how many are we short? Special things like special ed, how many people are we short in specific areas? So it may have to go to departments. You know, so I've got kind of some tables for that. So just to kind of have an idea.
Do you know about when you'll send that to Dr. Kelly? Just because you're exactly right, it's gonna need to go to her,
Yeah.
and then she's gonna share it with me, and then I'm gonna share it out with the departments that need to answer it. I just wanna make sure I have plenty of time to get it back, to get it
With
ready
the
for
conference
presentation.
this week, it'll probably be next week, first of next week.
That's perfect. All right, so we'll make note of that. Anybody else on anything that you would like us to add into the budget request presentation? All right, we'll keep moving. So what are we currently working on right now in the office? Teacher-pupil ratio, as we've talked about, we've got school choice that is open inside of our district. Mr. Galloway's working really hard on that. Dr. Kelly's keeping us. We have teacher-pupil ratio meeting today. We've got another one next week, as we're finalizing the school choice to see exactly where we are on everything with that. So we're working hard on that. We've got some calculations done for teacher salary increases. The next step for me will be, now that I've got teachers, that's always gonna be the priority is them. So now we'll start working on the non-teacher staff. We'll pull them out by departments and see what kind of cost that will be by department. We'll start looking at what a step increase cost. We'll always share it with you as teachers as one number, because again, remember, if the state mandates a teacher step, we have to give it. So we'll have the teacher step as one number, and then the other staff is another number there. We look at budget savings that have happened throughout the year. If we made program changes or staffing changes throughout the year, we run a list of things that we have not replaced or will not be replacing as the year rolls into the new year. And also, as we are going through the line item budget, Dr. Kelly and I go through to look at to see, is there anything that we can save that I was mentioning earlier? That's where we're looking at things, and I know if you are looking at it, you can't just always look and say there's a whole lot of money left in that account. It may be that something's coming up. So that is the conversation that she and I are having. Hey, is there anything we can do differently here? Are there savings or budget changes that we need to make here? So that's what we will continue to do as we prepare for next month. So that is all I have for the budget presentation tonight.
I have,
Yes, ma'am.
excuse me, after Mr. Tripp said something about the bus thing, make sure that whenever you're doing something for the teachers, and make sure that my assistants is getting some type of raise.
Oh, yes, ma'am. We'll have every category for you to see. I don't want to speak out of turn, so Dr. Kelly can stop me at any time. But I think the thought process is, obviously, teachers are first, and we do that calculation and see what we can do there. And so then we're looking at a couple of different options for teachers, set raises and or percentage increase raises. And then we're gonna have different options for all other non-teaching staff. But it will absolutely be that we look at everybody, but we're gonna try this year to keep it to everybody getting that percentage increase instead of picking and choosing. Unless we find in the salary calculation that I've currently done with like the 7 school districts, if we're out of whack, like crazy, just really bad,
Okay.
in any, and assistance is one of the ones that they'll be checking.
Yeah, make sure
So,
that
we've got them, we'll have, I'll be able to share all that with you next month, just what we've done on all that. We've got pretty much all of that ready to go, but we're trying to, as we talked about last year, I will, not ever forget Mr. Zug's, conversation about cherry picking. I think that was your words. I've loved it. I've used it all year. So we're trying to make sure that our staff feels valued, that they're equitably being paid across the upstate districts.
Yeah.
I've got some Spartanburg, Oconee, Pickens, Albany, Anderson. Not sure if Greenville's answered me. I've requested it from Greenville as well. But we're trying to look at all of those, and then we're gonna have some options for the board if that's not the direction y'all would like to go. If you wanna do a wholesale study as.
And I've got some, because we've ignored them for about 10 years, and they need to be addressed.
So we've also, we will have information for you if a salary study or job study is something that the board would like to do. We'll have that information for you next month as well. So thank y'all, and, let me know if you need anything.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you,
Hurd.
Amy.
I appreciate the in-depth information you shared, Ms. Hurd. It is a lot, and we appreciate all you do every month, helping us to make sure we make the best decisions for our district. So,
Who comes up with this formula?
yes, we're going to do, well, we're going to do it
Yeah.
right now
That was easy.
with the presentation for
It's
the
like
middle
we're gonna keep
schools.
changing, keep you guessing.
Okay. All right,
But
so
it's what it
next, under the superintendent's report is the middle school program discussion. So what I want to do, you all have charged me since hiring me in 2023 to really look at Robert Anderson, large enrollment there, and also look at McCants Middle School and the aging complex that we have there. And so what I want to do first tonight is I want to go over historically what I've done for 2.5 years to see where we are right now to the point, and then I'll share some future information with you as well. So I'm going to pass this down to you, and audience members, it will come up on the screen so that you can see that as well. Give everyone a chance to have that. Again, to recap, when I was hired in July of 2023, there were several things the board wanted me to look at intensely, and 2 of those things were Robert Anderson, the large enrollment, and then the aging facility of McCants Middle School. And so what you have before you are the steps that we have put in place since I began. And if you're looking at McCants Middle School, and the reason they're in this order is just alphabetical, if you're looking at McCants Middle School, you will see it was built in 1961. Now, Wes Grant and his department has done a phenomenal job of keeping that building working, HVAC system, roofs, and you'll see that there were major improvements or expansions in 1963, 1973, and then in 1991. So you'll see that that's the aging piece of McCants Middle School. And then you'll see down there below, and we'll bring those up in just a moment, that in 2023, I brought to you a conceptual drawing of what it might look like if we were to rebuild McCants. And we'll bring that back up in just a moment. If you jump down to Robert Anderson Middle School, you'll see that in 2017 is when Robert Anderson Middle School was expanded, thus causing the large enrollment that we have now. So that's when this began. And then you'll also see at the very bottom all of the community meetings that we've had to listen to constituents, to listen to families, and to listen to concerned citizens about the aging of McCants and the Robert Anderson facilities. And many of you on this board were able to participate with me in those meetings, and you were able to hear this as well. So you see, in December of 2024, I asked the instructional department to design a survey, and we sent the survey out to all middle school parents. We also sent it out to all rising 5th grade parents, so that we could get feedback on what the parents were feeling that were currently in the schools and parents were feeling that were currently going to the middle school. And 2 components came to the top of the surveys, as you would imagine. Two of those components were, it was the large enrollment, and it was the safety and security. So if you, out of the middle school parents, those who were already residing in middle school, 35% were concerned about safety and security, and that was in 2024. Out of the ones that were leaving 5th grade to go to middle school, it was 57%. For those concerned about the large school size, for the parents that were currently sitting in that school size, 11% of the parents who currently were attending the middle school were concerned about the size. So you see a great difference there. And it's because I think once they get in there, they realize what the things we've put in place, the resources we have. But for folks in 5th grade that were going to move to a school, the concern of being so large, it was 55% of those who completed the surveys. And you'll see the number there. So our rising 5th grade parents, we had 196 responses, which I thought was a good number. And then our current middle school parent surveys, we had 214. So we collected that data information, we shared that with you all, and then you'll see there's dates where we talked. We talked here as a board of opportunities and possibilities for our district, knowing that we are one community, knowing that we're here for every student, and knowing that we want endless possibilities for our kids, right? So we talked about that, and then this past November, I was able to go to Robert Anderson and talk with some families and share this same type of conversation. How Robert Anderson came to be, where it started, the closing of Lakeside, the opening of AIT, and then the additional added to that. So we talked about that with parents, and then I have Michelle Denmark here in the audience. She was gracious enough to invite myself and Mr. Thompson and some family members. And actually the day of the snowstorm, it was on a Saturday, she graciously opened up her home. We went to her home and we taught constituents there as well. And the feedback that we received at the meetings and through this home visit was, the school is too large for Robert Anderson. The school is too large. Even though the capacity of the school is outfitted for the number of children enrolled. It was just the sheer number of children in that school. Same thing for McCann's. When talking with folks just this past week, I was talking with someone and unsolicited said, are you all going to do anything about McCann's? So the constituents, the families, the community members, they're concerned about this. And I told them we are. I said, we've been working on this and we are looking at it. And so I wanted to share with you tonight what we've done for 2.5 years, looking at it. And I know you all are abreast of that, but I wanted our community to know that as well, that we are very interested and we are looking at that diligently. Additionally, this past year, we started the 6th grade academy at Robert Anderson. Because prior to this year, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they all shared the same bell schedule. They had different lunch times, but everything else was pretty much the same. This year, Mr. Noble, he is in the audience, has done a fabulous job. We have created a separate 6th grade academy. They have a separate bell schedule. I know several members were able to visit that school last week and talk with Mr. Noble about that. We have a separate bell schedule. They arrive at the same time, but they're housed in different areas so that 6th grade is not intertwined with 7th and 8th grade. They're dismissed. 6th grade is dismissed a little earlier than 7th and 8th grade to offset that. But I will say I have the survey results of the families who attended the meetings in November, and several things stood out. There were several great things. You know, how my child feels safe at school. 9 of them strongly agreed to that. There were 29 parents in attendance over 3-night span. 9 of them strongly agree. 14 of the 29 said it's just too large. It's just too large. Some of the comments we got about Robert Anderson was, I would like for there to be a 6th grade campus away from Robert Anderson. Now, Mr. Thompson was there, Mr. Kay was there, Ms. Burris was there when we did the parent meetings at Robert Anderson. And I asked that of folks. Some folks wanted that, some folks did not. And so that was a mixed decision for parents of, do I want 6th grade to be separated, while that would decrease the enrollment at Robert Anderson. Because currently it's 1,100 students. So if you take about 350 away from that campus, you would have about 800 kids, 700 kids there. But for parents who have multiple children like myself, I had an 8th grader and a 6th grader, they would have 2 drop-offs. So that was brought to our attention. Again, too many students in one place. These are actual folks, what they wrote on the surveys. Too many students in one place. We need to downside. An additional school is needed on this side of town. Let's see, an additional middle school would be helpful. You know, but they had some great things to say about Robert Anderson as well. Let's see, they were talking about it's accessible to all children, administration and teachers do a great job. So there were some great things about it as well. But overall, for those who were in attendance at our meetings, the concern is there, they want an additional school. The parents want an additional school to offset the large number of enrollment. So I wanted to share what I have done with the families, the planning, and all of that's listed here. So I took it a step further, and I want to show you some things now. So as you know, the Board of Trustees purchased land between this building and Westside High School. And so what I did is I asked Wes Grant, and I appreciate the efforts he made of doing this rather quickly. He got in touch with Dr. Tuning, our architect from Pasden Smith, Macmillan Pasden Smith. And fortunate, we can put a school there. We can put a school, the land that you all have purchased between here and Westside. And so what you're looking at is you'll see, and I'll stand up here so everyone can see. If we turn this is the building we're currently sitting in. So this is 28 Bypass. Everyone see that? This is the new school, so this is the front of the school. Up there, that dotted line, that's the car line. And so this is the front of the school. That's a 3-story building to the right. So you'd have 6th grade on one level, 7th grade on one level, and 8th grade on one level. And then you'd have media center, art, band, all of that there, cafeteria, gymnasium, and an auditorium. So an auditorium that mimics and looks like the one at Glenview and Robert Anderson. This school would outfit 800 students. There's several good points about this. One, we already own land. It's there. It's feasible. But it connects to Westside High School. And so that auditorium could be utilized by Westside as well. I was able to go to the Westside's Evening of Excellence. Well, it's in the gym, because that's the only space they have to accommodate the number of children who are excelling and their parents and grandparents and family members who want to celebrate. So they could utilize this nice auditorium like Glenview and Robert Anderson have for that as well. Additionally, you'll see all of these pieces here. This is additional parking that could be utilized by Westside as well. This is a track, and Wes can tell us more about that if you have questions, that does connect the Westside practice field at the top to this land so that we could have that as well connection. So all of this parking here, up there, that could be utilized at Westside. If you've ever been to Westside for a football event that's highly attended, lots of people are on 28 Bypass, they're on Jackson Street, they're parking in the ditches, and so that could offset that as well. Additionally, I wanted to look, the bus loop. This was very nice of using everything we have to meet the needs. The bus loop, so children that would be attending this middle school, their bus would come around through the bus parking lot, pick the children up right here, and then come right back out. So the good news is we have the land. That's the good news. The good news is we have the land. If that is something the board wants to pursue, we have that, and it does fit in the land that we've purchased. So the next piece.
Dr. Kelly, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Could you tell us the capacity of that?
800 students.
Okay.
So the next piece is just an overview of how it connects to the land. So you'll see again, here's 28 Bypass. This would be the new addition. This is where we're all sitting right here. This is Westside High School. So what we were talking about, here's the practice field, and you'll see this is a connection that would connect all of Westside High School to this facility. So all of this additional parking would be a piece of that. Okay? Any questions about the possibility of that middle school before I move on to mechanics?
And you also proposed on the, below the baseball and practice field now, parking area.
Yes. So we
which
own
is
this
well
as well, and you can have additional parking here. This could be for the buses, for the visiting teams to come in. They could literally come in this way, come around, drop the kids off and circle back around and park here and wait for them. You could also have this parking for officials. You know how sometimes we have to ensure that our officials can get to their cars safely. So you have official parking here or additional parking if you need it.
So you may have already said this, but I see a little bit of parking in front of the new school.
Okay, right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the rest of the parking?
All right, so you have this parking, and then you have this parking. There's additional parking that's been added to the actual parking lot back here. There's additional parking right there.
Something went over my head a few minutes ago when you was talking about you had the, talk with the parents.
Yes, ma'am.
And you had 27?
Yes, ma'am. 3 nights at Robert Anderson, we had 29 parents.
And how many children you say?
We have 1,100. Yes, ma'am.
You had 20-some?
29, yes, ma'am. Now, it was at night, so there might be parents that were working. There are activities in November. It's a very busy time of year, but yes, ma'am, we had 29.
And you, I can't even see how you even would come up with something like that with that many students there and parents, and you didn't have 24 people there.
Yes, ma'am. Now, some of the other information that I'm bringing to you came from the surveys where we had a lot of a better interest in that. So the surveys that were given in December of '24, we had a little over 400 surveys completed for middle school parents.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Another thing about, you built this school, Robert Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're saying Robert Anderson is overcrowded. Is that the word we're using?
No, ma'am, it's not overcrowded because it was built to house around 1,300 students, and it has 1,100 students. So it's not overcrowded. It's just very large, and parents are very concerned about the large enrollment when the other 2 schools, or excuse me, the other 3 middle schools have 600 or less.
And you need another middle school for what?
Now, I don't need another middle school. So let's make that clear. I don't need another middle school. But from families and parents that I've heard from through my 2.5 years here,
They basically want Robert Anderson split in half.
they want a
Be equal to
smaller
Glenview
middle
and
school.
McCants. I mean, we've been hearing it for the last several years.
Yes.
And the taxpayers is gonna have to pay for it?
Yes, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in just a moment, yes. Okay?
Okay, well, I was just trying to get a picture
ma'am.
of what you're saying and then what I can hear, and then we come up with a new school. When we was thinking that we bought the land, and I'm sure because I don't know how much it is. We said we was gonna get the Walker, because I can't see it in my head from here all the way to West Side High School.
Right, right.
So it's back in the,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, back
Yes,
there.
ma'am.
But we had already talked about something that we were gonna start with the buses.
Well, I can
And
talk
now we
about that
come
as
up
well, right
with a
here.
school.
Yes, ma'am. So you had mentioned earlier that, that we needed possibly to build an additional piece so that the drivers would have a separate space.
Yes.
This area right behind the building that we currently have, we could build it there. And then it would be closer to the actual district office, right here. So that green area, we could build it there. Okay?
I just like to get things in, to me, that I can put in my mind to understand. Because when you brought up another school, that means another thing, because you just said something about take away from half of the children that goes over there to half of the children that goes there.
Yes, ma'am. And we haven't gotten that far. I mean, that is a whole process in itself where you reach out to an outside entity to look at the lines, where that would be. We have not done that. I just wanted to present the facts to you all tonight and then get clarity of what you would like for me to do next.
Well, I really would like to do over again that thing with the children at the school and the more parents than that to come up.
I will.
You get them there. I've
We
been
will
several
definitely
times.
try. Yes.
So,
Right, because when we did the visit to Robert Anderson, we were really impressed with Mr. Principal Noble and the teachers and the orderliness and the cafeteria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great
They do a
school.
great job.
It's a great school.
They did. And maybe there's some other options, like the universal choice might take students away, but that's
Well, we do right now. We've looked at that for school choice. Was going to bring that up. We have 127 students right now that have applied for school choice, and 22 of them are from Robert Anderson.
So let me get this, you want students, if they're not accommodated, to move out of their district, out of their community.
No, I'm just,
That's what you're saying.
I'm just thinking it is,
So we're
I'm
not
a,
gonna make it good enough for them here, so we gotta go across town.
I'm a proponent for smaller schools, but I'm also a proponent for not necessarily building a new school when that is a new, fairly new school still. It's a beautiful school.
It was well managed when we was there visiting. I don't know if there's any way we might could get the ones that feels that it's too big to maybe come and take a tour like we did to see how it's managed and all, and they may feel different.
And I know for a fact Mr. Noble is open to that. We can definitely address that with parents if they'll share with us. We've been very fortunate that we've had some constituents reach out. And I know, I hope Ms. Denmark doesn't mind me, but Ms. Denmark is going to take a tour. She's going to take a tour of the school. So we definitely are offering that to parents, but I'm just sharing to you what I have heard over my 2.5 years and what you all, as the board of Anderson 5, have charged me to do.
And it kind of ponies on what I hear a lot as well, Dr. Kelly, is people that haven't been there complain about the size of it. But when you talk to the kids there, it's not a big problem. I mean, it's just a perception of it, I guess. I don't know.
And we learned the same thing from those parents, did we not?
We did.
Yeah,
We
and it
did.
kind
You know, when they were in 5th grade, it was way too big.
And I can go
But
back to
when they
when,
got there,
and I can go back to my first child at Centerville going to Lakeside. And I was, of course, I was scared to death. Middle school's a big step. I don't care from elementary school. I don't care who you are. Once he got there, he was fine. But but it's the same sentiment I've heard. Is I just get amazed at people in the community. I'm talking grandparents that never even been in the school. It's too big. Have you been in? No, but it's just, and I think when it was done, it was kind of a cost save. Well, we're trying to consolidate costs for the taxpayers instead of having 2 schools, 1 school, and that was the theory. And now I hear District 2 is looking at building a middle school for 1,200 students. So this is going to really help their plan, but that's their problem. But it is a common thing that I had somebody in my office today and it said, I'll be blunt, my child's not going to Robert Anderson unless y'all do something with it. She's got 3 children.
Again, I'm just presenting the information that I have gathered during my tenure as superintendent. I know each year you've charged me to look into it and to seriously create a plan of action for you all. I've done that, but I want to just give you the facts and then gain clarity. Are we good where we are, or do you want me to do something different?
And don't want to interrupt, but the concern I also had was, and you've addressed this concern with myself and Madam Chair the other day. Now we've got too much room not being utilized at Robert Anderson, but you've got a plan for that 6th grade building now
Yes,
that really
yes.
made me feel a little better about just leaving it sitting there empty.
If the board chooses to move forward with building another school for the West Side cluster, that 6th grade wing would become the instructional piece. So right now, when we have professional development or Miss Elrod tries or Shelley tries to pull folks, we're just trying to find space within schools that are open that we can use. That 6th grade wing would be ideal for professional development, for teachers to go, do vertical teaming, to work together. So we would utilize that 6th grade wing as a professional development piece. And in addition, I told you, oftentimes professional development, sorry, Kelly, is boring, right? Sometimes professional development is just stagnant. But what a great opportunity to have professional development in 6th grade wing and then walk down to 7th and 8th grade and utilize it and seeing it in action with children in the building. So it just gives us a great opportunity to be able to utilize that facility.
Dr. Kelly, I was with Ms. Burris and Mr. Hagewood and visited over at Rams. I had been a while since I'd been there, and I'd heard all this swirling about it's too big or it's maybe chaotic or it's not well run. I was very pleasantly surprised. Meeting with Mr. Noble, it's a very organized school. We saw a number of class changes. We saw the cafeteria. I mean, in my mind, what I was seeing was, okay, kids are up roaming around. They're in the cafeteria, leaving a mess here. very orderly, a lot of eyes, a lot of adult eyes on children. Went outside briefly just to look around at some things, and the kids were at recess. When you have middle schoolers and kickballs, soccer balls, footballs, as a kid, that's when we fight, that's when we get in trouble, and everything was orderly.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, it gets back to what Tommy just said is, I think it's a lot of perception there. And looking at the numbers, when Robert Anderson opened, or the year before it opened, it had 600, this is their 135, 678 students. Lakeside had 420. You add those two together, you're right at 1,100. Those are two pretty small, well, Lakeside's very small, 678, that's a good sized middle school. But the high water mark for Robert Anderson was 2019, and it was 1,300 students. That is a lot of kids, done a lot, and that is a concerning number. When we've researched it in the past, just like you said, the capacity for this one's 800. That's what most middle schools are. But now they're down to 1,100. So they've lost between 50 and 60 students since that time, and if it keeps going down with school choice and other things pulling kids away. You know, if we build a school that we're going to pay for what, 20 years? And looking at the numbers the way it's going now, in 5 more years, it could be down to 900. So are we going to strap the community with a 20-year bill for something that may resolve itself? Now, I don't like to see us losing students. Okay, and we need to be competitive. We need to try to attract students. But the numbers don't work for me at this point. I'm still open. I hadn't made my mind up. Seeing what I saw at Robert Anderson, I commend Mr. Noble, and have we asked Mr. Noble, and I guess you have, but what is it? What could we do for you? What can we do for the school to try to ease those perceptions that parents have? And
I think oftentimes, I apologize, not to interrupt.
Go ahead.
I think oftentimes it's before they get to Mr. Noble.
Yeah.
As that survey says. It's those 5th grade
sure.
parents that, if they'll let us know, if they'll share that concern, of course, we will meet with them, we will walk with them on a tour of the building, but I think their decision is made prior before they ever have the opportunity to meet Mr. Noble and his faculty and wonderful staff.
Encourage anybody, any parents,
Yeah.
go visit. And that's the same problem. That's the whole creation of the 9th grade academy, was to ease the fear of the middle school parent going to that entry year into a new school, 5th grade to 6th, 8th grade to 9th. So the 6th grade academy is a good concept in the way they keep all those students, separated, and there's not a lot of crossing. My concerns are things like where there's not a lot of supervision before school, after school, just simply because kids are getting there on buses or leaving on buses. Late buses are a problem for me both in the morning and in the afternoon. I know it is for them, and the supervision, the length of time, double routes. So when we talk about budget, making sure we have everything funded fully, like bus drivers, where we can get them to make the schools run more efficiently, so we don't have to make adjustments. And when things run smoothly, parents will be happy, kids will be happy. They learn in structured environments. That's what I saw. I saw a very structured environment.
Yes. All right. So any other questions about Robert Anderson enrollment before I move to McCants? Okay. All right. So this is before we move on to McCants, this is just a summation, information that's been presented to you all before. So at the time when this was presented back in 2024, we didn't have land. So that's why that says property acquisition costs. But now we have land. If you were to ever utilize that for that purpose, we have it. Back then, it was about $72 million to build a school, a middle school that would house 800 students. That's just information that was shared before, but I wanted to share it with you again. All right, so this is McCants Middle School. Again, this was brought to you all in October of 2023. Dr. Tuning came. He presented this to you all. Now, let's talk about this, because this was before we had acquired back the McCants Bowl. So you will see on the screen that there is a stadium that was a part of this design. That would no longer be needed because you have the McCants Bowl. So this is one piece of that, and this was a phase-in. And I know some board members were not in agreement with the phase-in, and what phase-in means is they would have the kids in school, they would isolate one building, demolish that building, build another building, and then the kids could utilize the building once it was finished, then they'd isolate another building. And so it adds about 12 to 18 months to the construction, additionally as additional costs to do it that way. But in the end, this was McCants. We have this drawing. Another drawing that we just recently got was this one. This one was, so you didn't have to do the phase-in. So what you would do is they would build everything on the backside, since now we acquired the McCants Bowl back. It has pros and cons. You do everything on the backside, that way kids aren't phased in, but you'll see that it had to take part of the bowl. Now, we can look at that again. Again, this was done very quickly, very quickly. I want to thank Dr. Tuning for doing this for us. So this is just one piece. So I'm just sharing this with you to say we've looked at this since 2023. And we have drawings, and we have plans, and we have ideas on this of what we do. So we talked about why were we even looking at it. The old building of 1961, large enrollment at Rams. That's why we were even looking at it. Now, the last thing I want to leave you with, Mr. Dukes alluded to this about a 20-year loan. That is one way to pay for this. That is one way. We are currently utilizing 2 systems to save money for whatever the needs might be. One of those is utilizing unspent general fund money at the end of each school year and transferring those funds into a capital projects account. We've been doing that since I started, and I think you were doing that before I started. So we have that, and currently we have $91 million in that account. So we have been conscious about what we're spending, how we're spending, and any unspent funds, we take that money and we put it in the capital projects account, knowing that there are interests from our families. You've heard it, I've heard it, of wanting new schools at McCants being rebuilt and a new school in west side of town. Additionally, 1-cent sales tax renewal. In 2028, general election in November, we'll be bringing that back before Anderson County. The 1-cent sales tax renewal has to be approved per the county. So it's not just Anderson 5 folks. So all Anderson County citizens will have the opportunity to share their desires. Do we renew it? Do we not? And so we are pursuing that. That is something I've already met with the superintendents. We've talked with them, talked about what that's going to look like, when we're going to start communicating and meeting with folks. So that's already going. So those 2 things we're already doing to try to ensure funding that does not cost additional taxes to our community. So we're already doing that. So the reason, the third, the bond referendum, the only reason as a board that you would want to move forward with the bond referendum is if you wanted it done sooner. Because the 1-cent sales tax renewal will not begin until 2028 if it's approved. And then you'll have to see how much you can borrow against that, just like you all did with AIT. How much can you borrow against it? How much is left to pay off from what was borrowed? So I don't know that yet. I'm being very honest. I don't know that yet. If that is renewed, you can do that. You can continue to do what we're doing, unspent general fund money, spooling it up, and letting it be. Let it continue to grow. Amy does a fabulous job of ensuring every month I have exactly what we're doing, where we're at, and how it's growing. Those 2 things are already being done. So we're already planning in the stages for whatever the board chooses to do. But if you want this accomplished sooner, then the only other piece is a bond referendum. Because a bond referendum would increase taxes. And I've told the families that. I had this same conversation at all of our family community meetings. It will increase taxes, but it will get this school faster for us. So, and it would be put on the November general election for Anderson 5 to vote on. So I'm not recommending anything, and I want that to be known. I'm not recommending increasing taxes. I'm letting you know what has been said to me, to you all about the need for McCants to be rebuilt due to its age, and an additional middle school due to the large enrollment at Robert Anderson. And so all I ask from you is to just give me clarity. Are you satisfied with what we're currently doing? Taking unspent money, putting it in the general fund, letting it spool up, and knowing that in 2028, we're going to actively pursue to renew the 1 cent sales tax? If you are, we are good. We are good to go. Because we're right on schedule. I'm doing everything that needs to be done. If you're wanting these schools to build sooner, then that's when we would have to do additional items. So that was just, I appreciate the time tonight. I just wanted to give you all of the information and all of the data and all of the work that's been done by my team, myself, the community, to just provide you as much knowledge and facts that I have and how we can move forward. So I don't need a vote. There is no vote. Just if you're satisfied with what we're doing right now and just continue on that, knowing we'll try to renew that 1 cent sales tax 2028, keep taking that unspent general fund money, placing it in the capitals project account, we are set. But if you want me to do something different and move faster, then we would need to look at a bond referendum. So any questions for me?
I would like to see community involvement before we do build schools, meetings. But also, I think the fencing at McCants is gonna be really good, a really good look.
For a 1961 school, I'm sure it will
The
improve.
fencing will change the age of the school.
So can I clear something up in my head?
Yes, sir.
So if we do a bond referendum,
Yes, sir.
taxes are going up a lot.
Yes, sir.
If we don't renew the 1 cent sales tax,
Yes, sir.
taxes are going up.
Yes, sir. And I told that to the families that were in attendance at the meetings. Yes, sir. And
If-
they were all in favor. Those who attended the meetings, they were in favor of the 1 cent sales tax being renewed.
So if we renew it, taxes aren't going up,
That's correct.
and we can continue to save and pay as we go. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
May I be a little bit out of order?
Sure.
You're a Robert Anderson parent. Who, is anybody here? I was just curious about their input on it.
I'll be glad to hold as many community meetings as we can
How,
align.
how many students are at Glenview and McCants?
The last I looked, it's around 600 at both. Mr. Roberts, how many do you have?
625.
625, and I think it's right at 613,
So we could
612.
combine, do away with McCants and add on to up to Glenview and just have 2 middle schools.
It would look just like Robert Anderson. Yes, sir.
Oh, you have enough. You
Right?
have
I mean, fair is fair.
You're fighting over there.
Sell the land at McCants and be done with it.
You all just let me know what you would like for me to do.
I mean, I'm just saying, I mean, and I completely understand and agree with what Mr. Dukes is saying. I mean, and they run there's a great school at Robert Anderson. I guess that's the issue, just a community perception of it. And Troy, to answer your question, yeah, taxpayers pay for everything we do. I mean, I didn't understand that comment. They pay for everything we do.
Well, Mr. Price, that sentiment that you just
Mhm.
shared has also been shared from
Yeah.
the Roberts Anderson families with me
Yeah.
as well.
And I hear it more than anybody.
So again, please let me know if you'd like for me to do anything different. We again did look at some options, and we did put one of those options in place this year with the 6th grade academy. I think it's going well. I appreciate Kelly Elrod working with Mr. Noble and really putting that together. It's been great. So that was one of the options, and we did that, and I do think it's made a difference. I just need you to give me clarity if you want me to pursue anything other than what we've done already.
And it does put boards in a precarious situation because you see needs, but nobody wants to increase taxes. I mean,
Right.
it's a,
Right.
it's a tough, and I know District 3's board's gone through that, District 2 is, they see the need, but,
Yeah.
and District 1 is, I think, contemplating 2 new high schools, so it's,
Yeah.
everybody loves Anderson County, and I understand why. I mean, it's a great place to live and raise your children.
And that's when I was talking with Mr. Thompson. I told Mr. Thompson, I said, if you all choose to do a bond referendum, it only needs to be done in November. Only. Because that's when every constituent typically goes to vote. And that would allow us to get the reflection and the feedback from the entire Anderson 5 community.
And it's cheaper. I mean, really, truly.
So,
If we chose to do just mechanics, I mean, could you not use the money we have so you didn't have to get a bond or raise?
you can. Let me share some information. I had this pulled just in case, Mr. Haygood, someone asked that question. So we have, let me make sure I have it right here. We have $91,522,416 in that account right now. With the phase-in model, not this model, but the model before, it adds, and Mr. Grant, you'll have to, it adds about $5 million. So it goes from 73, I think, to $78 million. So 91 minus 78, what is that, about 13 million left, 14 million, something like that? So that would leave 14 million in the account. But at the same time, we have 203 million left on our needs assessment that we're trying to work at. So let's see, 23-24, we spent $31 million. 24-25, we spent $7 million. And currently this year, and we have not ended yet, we've already spent $5.1 million. So if something were to happen to any of our schools, let's just say Teohana's HVAC system, because it was built in 91. If it goes out, this is the pot of money we typically try to pull from to help with that. But yes, sir, to answer your question, yes, sir, we can. We can.
Say again, the estimated cost for one of those mechanics? a new
78 million, that's what it was in October of 23. So now, it might be a little bit more than that now, so.
It's more than
So, we're saying that it would cost more to take longer to build it
At
than
mechanics.
if we just built it.
Because of the phase-in.
So why, if we've got the land, we did find phase-in because we didn't have the land.
Right.
Now that we have the land, why would you want to pay more to take longer?
Yeah, and that's not my recommendation, I was just bringing that before.
I understand.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just something
But yes,
I gathered
you're
from
exactly right,
President
you're exactly
Okay.
right, yes.
Hearing voices.
Yeah. It's not good.
But I think one of the concerns with mechanics was maybe security, and so the fencing would help with that. I mean, we toured Hannah, the mechanics. And yeah, it's still a good building.
It is. There are some things, though, about that building that even fencing can't help us with. We have children, when they leave the 7th and 8th grade building or 7th grade building, they walk, well, you know, your daughter's there. They walk on the sidewalks, and if it's raining, they're wet by the time they get to the gym or chorus, just because we have awnings, but they're not enclosed. So they're wet when they get there. Dismissal. We've actually brought Dr. Tuning in to try to design a new car dismissal with the current land that we have. It's just not feasible, so that kids aren't having to stand out in the rain trying to get into their car. Whereas most, like this school or most other schools, Midway, North Point, all of those, Glenview, Robert Anderson, they have covered sidewalks that the kids can stand over. That's just not at McCants with what we currently have. So those are the pieces that, yes, the fencing is great and it will be tremendous help. It's just those other things, just because of the way the school was laid out in 1961.
Right.
Yes.
Maybe an awning could be added at the sidewalk.
We checked the awning in the middle of the parking lot, and Mr. Grant, why did Dr. Tuning say that we just didn't have enough land?
It's just you're having students passing through vehicular traffic in that scenario. It wasn't a safe scenario.
Yeah.
We don't need to be adding nothing to that school. We're gonna build a school, do we?
Well, that's up to the board. That's up to the board. So again, I'm not asking for any votes. I just want to ensure if I am not, what I am currently doing to help offset the community and their requests, if saving money and then transferring that money to the capital projects account, and then ensuring that we try to renew the 1 cent sales tax in 2028. If you want something more than that, please let me know. Okay?
Well, the onus is going to be on the board here to take up this discussion, and at some point, board, we need to do that. Do we need to do it in a regular session? Do we need
to have a work session?
Yeah,
or
a work
something?
session
Yeah, I
or a
really
committee
do.
of the
do
whole,
that.
somewhere where we can
I
spend
think
more
we do
time.
that.
So I think just we can't keep, if we keep having these meetings where we have a limited amount of time and information, and we're just going to end up kicking it down the road. So
Okay.
we need to make
I
some,
agree.
we need to.
Instead of just sit down and talk about it.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
I agree.
All
with
right,
you.
so I'll put together a date and time for a
Yeah.
work session.
I think it's a
Okay.
good idea.
I will do it.
It's a lot to absorb.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a lot of details here.
Do that on a Monday, I'm off on Monday.
Okay,
so
okay.
I don't know how everybody else is.
We're all off on Saturday.
Thought I was eating.
That's right.
I'm not.
Yep. All right, so Monday
Or the weekend.
or the weekend, either's fine with us as well.
Oh,
I have a team that's dedicated to working for the betterment of our children.
I vote Monday.
Monday, okay? Are you
Monday
good?
is fine.
What time of day on a Monday?
Whatever y'all decide.
Anytime's a given day on Mondays.
Monday evening, Monday,
I leave my office. If y'all pick a date, I can make it work.
okay.
I get off at 6.
You get
Yeah.
off at 6.
Yeah,
Okay.
if we do it on Monday, if y'all give me plenty of
Yeah,
notice.
if it's 6 o'clock,
Y'all
I
work
can
half a
be
day on
there.
Friday?
Okay, okay.
No Friday?
All right,
No Friday, that's good.
I will get that, and then I'll email you some dates and let you all choose, okay? All right, thank you so much for the time, I appreciate it, and I hope this was helpful. I hope this gave you more information and clarity on where we are and what we've been doing. Yes, sir.
You can't just keep nibbling at it here. Two schools. One was CIT. We lost them in the lakeside. And this weekend's facility with Trade Frank. But I just didn't.
Out of the minutes.
I know.
If I have an extra copy here, if you want. First, January 20th.
Dr. Kelly, does the financing takes an hour? It does push our meeting, you know, pretty late. We're just getting on the action items, just commenting.
Okay.
We should come,
Financing, taking an hour.
oh, so she, we'll cut that down.
Where we at?
Oh, okay. Okay, now we are to the action items. January the 20th, 2026, board work session minutes, that's number 7A. The minutes, for January the 2026 board meeting you already have them. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
Madam Chairwoman, I make a motion that we approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
There being no, is,
No motions necessary. There are no corrections. They are approved as distributed.
okay. They're approved as distributed if we don't have any corrections. So we don't need a motion for it. January the 2026 board meeting minutes.
Are there any corrections to the?
Are there any corrections to the B, 7B?
If there are any corrections, the minutes are approved as distributed.
There being no, correction, the minutes are approved as distributed. Now we down to 7C, policy revisions. We have A, policy EBCB, safety plans, drills, and this is second reading. And IAR, EBCB are safety plans and drills. So that's one that we had corrected some.
We had first reading last month, yes,
Uh-huh.
ma'am.
So this is second reading of it, but a lot of it is locked out.
Yes, ma'am. So Madam Chair, I recommend approval of the second reading of policy EBCB, safety plans and drills. There were no recommended changes to the first reading of the policy. Language related to school security, assessments and inspections, evacuation plans and drills, classroom and hallway safety and construction, and renovation has been removed from the policy. This content has been incorporated into a newly created administrative rule for policy EBCB. In addition, language has been added to the rule to clarify expectations for the district-wide crisis alert system.
Okay, so everybody has read that also.
That has already been approved, right?
No,
First
it's the
reading.
second
That's
reading.
second reading.
Second reading, I thought.
I'm saying, didn't we just approve it by consensus?
I don't know.
We did not.
That was just the minutes.
That was the minutes we did that.
So you can state the motion. Language here for motion. So you could say, it was moved and seconded that.
Okay. So,
It is moved and seconded that we adopt policy.
okay, it is moved and second that we will adopt policy AREBCBR, safety plans and drills. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I would like to strike active shooter and let it be intruder drills. That's kind of scary for children. I don't know if I'd want my child participating in active shooter drills.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
It is moved and seconded to amend by striking and insert, and say what you're striking and what you're inserting.
Okay, so it's been second that, what did you just say you didn't want?
Active shooter to be stricken and call it intruder drill.
Call it what kind of drill?
It's already called intruder drill, just strike the active shooter.
Active shooter. Strike the active shooter. You got that, Secretary?
Those in favor of
Those in favor of doing,
shooter. Those in favor of the amendment to strike active shooter.
those in favor of the amendment to strike active shooter drills for students.
Say
Say aye.
Call for the vote. Aye.
aye.
Opposes?
Those opposed? Opposed?
Two opposed.
The ayes have it. And
The ayes have it.
The amendment is adopted.
And the amendment is adopted.
The question is now on the main motion
Now, the question is on the main motion of the shooter
of the policy.
of the policy.
Are there any further discussion?
Is there any further discussion?
Madam Chair, I have a question about these, I'm sorry. I have a question about these policies and the language being used, but those questions seem sensitive in nature as they relate to security. So if I'm in order, I'd like to make a motion to postpone this matter to the March meeting.
Postpone it to the March meeting because,
Because I have questions about these policies and the language that's being used, but because it's sensitive to security, I'm not sure that we should be talking about it in an open session.
You could
you go into executive session with it.
Yes, ma'am. So,
Table
I'm
for
sorry.
executive session.
Well, are you looking to, if you want to go into executive session now, you could vote to go into executive session now and ask. people
Yeah,
to-
but we
But-
go into it.
Okay, so then you could move, you could move to postpone until after the executive session. So it's still on the agenda for today, but you would be postponing to, if he wants, he could move to postpone until after the executive session.
After the executive session.
I mean, it's not urgent. We could postpone it to executive session in March. I mean, with that,
Just for clarification, postponing to after executive session, would that accomplish discussing it in executive session? So, Madam Chair, I make a motion to postpone this item till after executive session of tonight's meeting.
Second.
It's moved and seconded to postpone this until after the executive session. Those who are confused on
This
that.
motion,
It's moved and seconded to postpone this motion until after executive session.
moved
Executive session, which is.
to after executive
but that's
session.
still an open
for the-
session.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's still.
We'll vote after executive session.
You'll discuss it in executive.
Discuss and
Move to the end of executive end of discussion, not after.
we'll discuss in executive
Okay.
session and vote after
Okay,
executive session.
I got you.
Can I get clarification? Is this concerning policy EBCB?
No, it's a policy AREBCBR safety.
So
Is
it
that the
is
same
con-
thing you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's the same, well, yeah, yes, sir.
So you're requesting that we discuss it
In
in
executive.
executive session with other things other than what we just voted on? With removing, because we just voted on striking active shooter in
No,
the
he
policy.
Oh, it's the-
So are you looking at, I'm just asking so I understand.
I understand.
Are we gonna talk about that policy in depth in executive session?
I would say we would not be discussing it in depth.
Okay. I'm in favor of it.
Yeah.
For
And
sure.
I apologize for the lack of clarity. I just am trying not to say things
I
that
understand.
I want to make
It-
sure are
So
said.
we should call for the vote on postponing.
Could I get a vote on postponing this
Until
after the executive session?
those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
Opposes say no.
The motion's adopted.
The motion is adopted to
And
do,
to
in it,
postpone until after executive session.
to postpone to after executive session.
Next item of business is
Policy JFB, school choice, second reading, JFBR, school choice.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, I recommend approval of the second reading of policy JFB, school choice. There were no recommended changes to the first reading of the policy. The following revisions are to provide more school choice for our families residing in Anderson School District 5. So if you look at the policy at the beginning of the second paragraph, we are adding the word high school to that sentence. The board authorizes students to attend elementary, middle schools, and high schools out of their designated area. The fifth bulleted item, we are adding the sentence, if space is not available, students will be placed on a wait list and must reapply each year. The seventh bulleted item, that entire bullet has been added. Parents are not required to fill out a renewal application for their non-resident student to remain enrolled in the school. After a non-resident student is enrolled in a school for a full school year, the student will matriculate through the district's traditional feeder pattern from elementary school to middle school and from middle school to high school. If a parent wishes their child to attend a different school for which they are not zoned within the district, the parents must fill out a new application and must follow the same inter-district transfer process in order to be enrolled in the new school. And then that next bullet is completely struck through.
That's, CB, right?
That is policy JFB, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Is there a motion and a second?
Is there a motion to second this policy?
I make a motion that we second.
Madam Chair, I make a motion we approve policy JFB, school choice on second reading.
Second.
It is moved and seconded that
Oh,
we
okay.
adopt.
It is now moved and second that we will adopt, CB, policy JFBR, school choice.
Is there any discussion?
Discussion,
Yes, I just have this one item where on the first page down there about Southwood, it needs to add at the end there that all seats are filled from the waiting list, because you do use that language on the last page.
So the sentence that says rising seventh and eighth graders may apply for Southwood Middle School without a tryout if space is available after all magnet seats are filled?
From the waiting list
Okay.
of those who, the children that auditioned should get first priority because it's merit-based.
Okay.
So what are you asking to substitute in?
Just to add in from the waiting list.
From the waiting list.
Is there any objection to this addition?
I object.
So now it should be voted as there, so that there's a vote to amend by adding the word she said, and then we should ask for discussion on that amendment.
We can amend what Sydney said, and
I object to the amendment. I think it limits us. It's limiting when we don't need to.
Well, on page 3, it says for spots that open up due to attrition, students on the wait list will be contacted to fill available spots. The wait list carry
wait
over.
till the debate, the motion is on the floor.
So it's moved and seconded to make her amendment.
Moved and seconded to make Sydney's amendment.
Is there any discussion?
Is there any discussion on that? And that's what he was discussing.
Now she can,
Now you can-
Oh, yes. Well, like I said, on the 3rd page, it says, for spots that open up due to attrition, students on the wait list will be contacted to fill available spots. The wait lists carry over to the 7th and 8th grade. But then on the 1st page, you're saying rising 7th and 8th graders may apply for Southwood Middle School without a tryout if space is available. It says after all magnet seats are filled, but it doesn't mention the wait list being exhausted.
I don't know how to, how we gonna word it?
Just add the words from the waiting list.
From the waiting list. Is that good for you?
Good for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
so now you can, those in favor of the amendment? say
Those
aye.
in favor of the amendment that was amended to add to the waiting list,
Say aye.
say aye.
Aye.
All have, aye. No.
No.
Ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted.
Ayes have it and amendment is adopted.
The question is now on the main motion of the policy.
Now the question is on the main motion of the policy.
Is there any further discussion?
Now you ready for discussion?
Okay, so now there's no more discussion. So there being no more discussion, those in favor of adopting the policy, say aye.
Okay, being there's no more discussion, those in the favor of adopting the policy say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no.
And opposing say no. Ayes have it.
The motion is adopted.
The motion is adopted.
The next item of business is,
The next item of business, action 7C, policy IJNDAA, distance online virtual education, second reading.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, I recommend approval of the second reading of policy IJNDAA, distance online virtual education. There were no recommended changes to the first reading of the policy. The following revisions are as follows. In the 3rd paragraph, removing the language Apex Learning and adding virtual SC, Adminum, and Edgenuity, removing Advanced and adding Cognia. In section grades 9 through 12, removing the words the board and adding programs listed above or virtual SC. In section evaluation, removing the word 8 and adding 5th.
let's go, is there a motion for a second?
Is there a motion for second?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we adopt policy IJNDAA as read.
I second.
It is moved and
It
seconded.
is moved and
Seconded.
second that we will adopt it.
Is there discussion?
Is there any discussion?
I would like to ask the question for where it says the district will generally not approve programs or courses offered by out-of-state institutions. If Hillsdale College, they offer free K-12 and 76 curriculum, civics and social studies. It's a comprehensive set of lesson plans focusing on American history, government, civics, stressing the nation's founding ideals, exceptionalism, and moral grounding in the Declaration and in Constitution. It's been adopted and referenced in various conservative-led school districts and charter schools nationwide. Could that be utilized?
Could you tell me where you're referring to in the policy, please?
Where it says, under district courses,
Okay.
the district will generally not approve programs or courses offered from out-of-state institutions. And Hillsdale is from Michigan.
So what we do in our district currently is all curriculum that is utilized is vetted through the South Carolina Department of Education.
Yeah.
So if that curriculum were to be one that Kelly or the instructional team wanted to seek to utilize, it would then be vetted by South Carolina Department of Education. And if they deemed it that it was correct for supporting our standards, then yes, it could be considered.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That sounds good.
Yes, ma'am.
They have a lot of free online, a lot of courses, a lot of resources, and any parent can look it up and actually utilize it. But
But it has to be vetted by the State Department of Education before
Right.
you use it.
that would be,
So we're wasting time on that.
Yeah, you guys are done with that. Is there any further discussion? If not, policy IJNDA, distance online virtual education has, it should not be voted on. So, those in favor? Ayes.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. So ayes have it. Policy is adopted.
The next item of business is?
The next item of business is 7D, policy BID, Board of Member Compensation and Expenses, first reading.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. The policy revisions are being presented to the Board of Trustees per their request.
Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve policy BID, board member compensation and expenses on the first reading.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and second that we would take policy BID, board member compensation and expenses, first reading.
Any discussion?
Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair,
Discuss every time.
I'd just like to have a point of order. If this is first reading, I don't know if this is an exigent reason, because you can't get paid until after being sworn in, what is January?
November.
Is it gonna be November this year?
You all sworn in November.
We're supposed to be did it all
But
the
you
time.
gotta wait until after.
Plus when you're certified, and this
correct.
time, this time you were certified a week before our meeting, so we did it in November. Yes, sir.
But I'm asking for this coming November, if you looked at the date to see if it overlaps, because sometimes it's January. Anyway, it's gonna be in the November or December of next year, so why do we need to do it first reading?
Why not?
Because it requires an exigent reason, an emergency, so to speak. Like, for example, if there was a chiller or something that went out, and we needed a motion to transfer funds, we'd have an exigent reason to do that. I just like, point of order for the.
So this is for a new board policy.
Right.
It is not an existing one. So is there ever an exigent reading, reason for putting in any new policy?
Well, we generally we have 2 readings. Our policy says that we should give 2 readings for every unless there's an
And this
exigent
is
reason.
first.
And you want it to pass on, you want it to pass on the first reading, or just pass
No, just
the
first
first
reading.
reading?
Just first
Oh, I'm
reading.
sorry.
The first reading.
I
Just first reading.
misunderstood. I thought you said you wanted to
No, just
pass
first
it
reading.
on first reading.
Just first reading.
Well,
You thought I
yes,
said
we
that?
No,
do.
no, Mr. Bradshaw.
Yeah, we do pass it on first reading, but it does require a
Second.
second
vote.
reading.
Okay, I misunderstood. I stand corrected. I do have other discussion, Madam Chair, if I could have the floor.
Go ahead.
I do have a number of questions about this policy, and first, let me state philosophically that I'm on record as saying I will not take compensation. But for those who do take compensation, I certainly respect your right to do that if we pass this policy. My concerns with the policy aren't philosophical, they're all technical. So first, I really need to begin with context here. because in February 18th, 2025, last February, a motion was made by the board, by a board member, to approve amending board policy to reflect Anderson School District 5 Board of Trustees received compensation of $300 per month for board members and $350 for the chair, and to establish a committee set by staff to ensure all policies are addressed, all legalities are adhered to before the beginning of the process of compensation. And it was approved, 5 in favor, 4 opposed. The opposed were Thompson, Burris, Dukes, and Hagewood. Now, 1 year later, with no board discussion since February of last year, we're being presented with a policy that has increased the monthly payment from $300 to $500. We voted on $300, and I'll just use one set of numbers, but just add $50 for the chair. So it's going from $300 to $500, and we have had no discussion and don't know where that came from. So it really leads to my first question, and I got the answer to this 5 minutes before the meeting, but I'm going to ask it anyway for transparency, is who proposed the idea to change the $300 per month to $500 per month? And I'd just like help on that.
It's the same way that we did the 300. Somebody hollered out that we do just say 300. I went back and looked at different places that do compensate their board, and we're still low. So that's why I moved it up to 5. But it was the same way that it was done the last time. We didn't discuss it. Somebody just hollered out $300 and we accepted it. So I decided to holler out the 5. And it's still not as much as others is getting for this.
Right.
And if you're not taking the money, if you're not accepting this, I still can't understand why does it bother you of what amount of money it is if it's $2.
Madam Chair, I don't want to get into a back and forth, but as I said in my opening comments, my philosophy of it is I'm just not going to take the money. Whether somebody takes it up here, I have no problem with that. My concern is that the board voted for $300, $350 for the chair, and now we're seeing in the policy that it's $500. Now, the board was completely aware of the $350, but the $500 came from, and I thank you for the transparency, from one person without a vote of any kind. But I'll move forward. That's no problem. I'm just curious. Sure.
So if we voted, it was approved, the legalities and everything had not worked out until now. Why are we even having to vote again?
Because of the money was changed.
It wasn't in a policy. This is a policy.
We voted to pay the board members.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We seconded it.
Mm-hmm.
We approved it. We checked to make sure the legalities, and the legalities said, okay, it can't go into effect until after
election is
November of '26.
Right.
And only for those that have gone through the re-election process.
Correct.
So we voted, it's done. Why are we having to discuss it and do it again?
Maybe because you're upping the money.
Well, I'll be happy to keep it with $300, $350 as we voted the first time and just change it on the policy. Change it back to $300, $350.
No, did we require it, I guess I have to ask everybody that because I don't know. Did we require this to be a policy or not? Because to me, it was just something thrown out that night.
I think we voted, Mayor, I think we voted for you to find out how to do it. Nobody knew how to do this, is my recollection.
Yeah, this would have to be a policy. A policy would require 2 readings.
Yeah.
So, then, according to our policies, you have to do that in consecutive.
If I'm correct, Kyle, we voted just to
Yeah, after the meeting,
empower you to find out the details on it, how we do it, and give it with amount to.
Yeah, after the meeting, we talked with Allison Hannah, and that's the same way she interpreted it. Was the board essentially directed staff to pursue, find out information, then come back to the board, because the board will have to pass a policy on 2 readings to enact this.
Okay.
So, yes.
I understand that. Thank you.
So, and thank you, Val, because what he just said was, they checked into the legalities. That's after the comma. Before the comma was 300 a month, 350 per month. Okay, you didn't address that at all. That was what we voted. But I'm fine. We'll move forward. I just was curious as to where it came from. At the end of last week, we get our packet, and the last thing I remember was a vote for 300, 350, and then now it's 500. So I'll move forward. So that was just my first question, and thank you for that transparency, Madam Chair. So getting back to the policy, and as I said, it's not philosophical, it's technical. So the second question is the standard operating procedure and board policy revision is that, we have the old policy, and if something's changed, it's lined out as we've seen in all these other policies. My question is, why wasn't the old policy with the line outs included in the revision that is being presented tonight? And it may have been just a careless oversight, but it's important so we can compare and contrast the old versus the new. So for second reading, if you would it would be helpful to have the line outs to go with the policy. So, which leads me to questions 3, 4, 5, and 6, which are all in regard to the cost of living adjustment clause. The proposed policy reads, and I quote, beginning fiscal year 2027, board members will receive the same annual cost of living adjustment as non-teacher district employees. Now, this clause was not included in the motion from February of last year. In my recollection, it's the first time I've ever heard of a cost of living for the board that's been proposed. As we're aware, the board votes in May or June to determine the cost of living adjustment for non-teachers. We don't vote for teacher cost of living because that's determined by the state legislature and dictated to us. So we approve COLAs, which is a cost of living adjustment for all other employees, just for folks here who might not have known that. According to the policy being proposed here tonight, a vote to give non-teacher employees a cost of living raise will also be a vote to give board members the same raise. So hypothetically, if the board wants to give the non-teachers a very nice raise of, say, 4, 6, or 10%, well, then the board is also going to get that same raise.
Wow.
And
Over $300.
correct, but nonetheless, does this not sound like a conflict of interest? Because if I got my ABCs right, if the board votes to give the non-employees, the board votes to give B, the non-employees, a raise, and then they're getting that raise. If A equals B and B equals C, A equals C, you're giving yourself an in-term raise. So doesn't this look like a conflict of interest? Question 1, doesn't this constitute the board voting themselves an in-term pay increase? And it's an automatic pay increase. And then hasn't the Ethics Commission already ruled on this issue by telling this board that voting yourself an interim raise, as you said, Mr. Bradshaw, it's unethical and it's illegal. So it looks like an interim pay increase.
Let me interject,
Mr.
though.
Bradshaw didn't say
Every
anything.
board has to vote on their own pay increase. Pickens County had to go back and redo it a while back because it was set back 30 years ago. I don't care how you vote, it's got to be, if you're going to have any kind, somewhere down the road, they've got to vote to raise it again. I don't care one way or the other. I just felt like the cost of living, it keeps that being addressed because $300 now, 30 years from now, $300 a month is not anything.
But that's inconsequential, and I've got the floor, I'll just keep going, but that's inconsequential
But
in
every
that.
board in the state votes on their raises.
Correct, but you have to wait until the next.
Yeah,
to
okay, I agree with
implement
that.
it,
Yeah, I
to
agree with
implement
that.
it. Here, this is an automatic, if you give a COLA, if the COLA is 1% or above, that's gonna be an automatic thing. So, based on those last 3 questions, and if we're gonna move forward with this policy, I'd like to request that this draft policy be submitted to the Ethics Commission for a ruling on its legality, specifically the legality of the cost of living, on the cost
I
of
agree. I
living.
mean,
'Cause
if it's done, I want it done.
It
right.
looks, I mean, it's, yeah. All right, questions, this is fun, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. This all relates to the legal reference. And Craig, if you don't mind, can you get that up real quick, that policy? While he's doing that, at the bottom of the policy, you'll see the legal references, and one of those is South Carolina Law 59-1-350. Scroll down, Craig, please, sir. Going down. And double click on 59-1-350, please. And if you do this at home, this is a lot of fun because you get to go, it takes you right to the law referencing. Now you got to scroll down and find 350. Just do a control find and type in the number 350, it'll jump right to it. Anyway, the title of that law, or that section, is Compensation of Members of the Board of Trustees and Boards of Education. And it reads, members of the Board of Trustees may serve without pay. We're doing that now. Each member of the board may receive a per diem for attendance at board meetings and may be paid mileage to and from such meetings. No member may receive per diem and mileage unless in actual attendance upon a meeting of the board. I'll repeat that. No member may receive per diem and mileage unless in actual attendance upon the meeting of the board. So the last statement here is critical because I've read where board members who have gotten into hot water, not our board members, but other board members in other districts, got into hot water for collecting checks, for not attending, for meetings they did not attend. I've read about school boards getting in hot water for calling, because they were getting paid every time they had a meeting. So they'd have a meeting and then call a special meeting, meet for 15 minutes, get a check, go home, call another meeting, which is all unethical practices. That's not the spirit of the law. So in my opinion, the board needs to approve policies that prevent the appearance of any impropriety and prevents the possibility of impropriety. So leaving out the language from the law, which we cite, specifically applicable to this policy is, in my opinion, a major oversight. So my question is, based on what I read in the policy, it's feasible that a board member or members could literally be absent at every board meeting and still collect a check. Is that correct? Looking at the way we have the policy? Because it says nothing about attendance. It's just a monthly check. So I don't necessarily need an answer to that, but I want to throw that out. Hypothetically, looking at this policy, that's possible. So question 8 is, if a board member joins a meeting by phone or video, does that count? Do you get a check? What if a board member is present for a short time, does the pledge, invocation, leaves? Do you get a check for that? Okay, since we cite section South Carolina Law 591350 regarding the requirement that board members be present at meetings to collect compensation, I just want to know why this relevant section is not actually included in the text. So in light of that, I'd like to make a subsequent motion to postpone indefinitely this policy in order for the administration to address these questions and concerns, contact the South Carolina Ethics Commission as requested, and bring back a new draft when it's ready that addresses some of these concerns. So I'm asking for, and Mr. Parliamentarian, postpone indefinitely, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to postpone the policy indefinitely. That would just be it's just a motion to postpone. It would have to be voted on. So he's just asking to postpone. So you have to have a vote. So you say there's a motion to postpone indefinitely, and then you ask if there's anything.
There's a motion to postpone indefinitely.
Is there any discussion
Is there any discussion
on the motion to postpone indefinitely?
on the motion to postpone indefinitely?
Madam Chair, Kyle Newton has been working on this since it began, and he has additional information to share about the language of the board, of the policy.
All right, so first, in regards to the section talking about tying it to, CPI or staff increases, all that, like, putting the language about future increases is permissible because no one would be taking any action on their own pay. It would just naturally increase pursuant to the district policy, so that is allowed.
Okay. According to?
Coordinate last through the general counsel.
Okay,
and then the commission.
that's good.
Yeah, so the entire, what you have before you has already been cleared by the ethics commission, so I did send that to you. So all that language has been.
Could we get that in writing?
Yes, I have it in writing, yes. And so for the other references, the other questions, the statute regarding the per diems and the mileage reimbursements and all that for attendance at board meetings is separate from the board member compensation. That's coming from Allison. I believe we had some of those emails just back at the beginning of December. There was some conversations about that. So those are some of the questions I know that were raised that we have addressed. As you know, there's no preconceived notions from anybody. And we'll ask whatever y'all want us to ask, but those have been addressed from our council and also the ethics commission.
So repeat that about Allison. That was about in terms of attendance?
The 59-1-350, she stated that, and I believe that was what we communicated on December 4th, regarding that section talking about per diems, that's not tied to compensation. Compensation and per diem is separate.
Okay, then, and so according to, in our ethics commission ruling that we got back in May of 2025, states the commission, and the commission is the ethics commission's jurisdiction is limited to the enforcement. Let me back up. You're saying compensation and per diem are two different things?
Correct.
Okay. So what they say is their jurisdiction is limited to the enforcement of the Ethics Act and therefore makes no finding about the types of payments board members, types of payments board members may receive. Instead, it finds that any payment, whether classified as per diem, salary, stipend, or by some other name, triggers the ethics law. So would you check with them on that?
I did, and she would not answer that because of what you said. She said, we only stick to what is in the ethics.
Okay, then would you move it over to the SC Attorney General and to get an opinion from him on that, on 59-1350, please? Yeah, I'd just like to get an opinion on that.
That's up to the board.
Can you repeat again the part about how you would not be voting yourself an interim raise?
According from the General Counsel of the Ethics Commission, putting the language about the future increases would be permissible because no one would be taking any action on their own pay. It would just naturally increase pursuant to district policy. So if we did put something in there, hey, this will be reviewed annually, that would not be permissible because you're sitting down, you're saying, hey, it's $300 right now, we want to go to $303. You know, they said, no, that would not be permissible. But if you tie it to something, you know, that naturally would increase. The language in the policy you have mirrors the language in green. They tied it to non-instructional staff increases. I think it's like Clarendon, I think they tied it to teacher increases. So different districts tie to different things. You know, I believe like CPI was mentioned, something like that.
Right, so CPI we would not control, but we do control the adjustment on non-teacher district employees. So, I mean, that is something that is variable and that we could, you know, if somebody said, well, you know, I want to make it 2% or 3%. You do seem to have a control of what your raise would be if you have the ability to vote on a variable amount. But I agree, if it were CPI, that's a different.
But according
You're
to
talking about $1 or
the
$2.
Ethics Commission, any of those are accepted.
I mean, I'd like to see that in writing, but
Sure.
I think it may depend on how that's worded, because what Kyle just said is that it's acceptable if you're not, it sounded to me like it's acceptable if we're not involved with it, if it's just a standard raise, as it is for teachers. That's dictated to us. However, we are voting, just like I said, if the board's voting on the non-teacher, and we're
I
also
haven't
getting it
recognized him
A
to speak yet. I don't
E
know why
equals B
he's
or
still
C.
talking. We have the parliamentarian here. I hadn't ordered anybody to speak because I was listening to what you were saying. So now, is there any someone would like to say something about what he said? But
If he's finished speaking, then you would ask for further discussion, and he could speak a second time. But asking if he's finished?
are you finished?
Yes, ma'am.
So the question is on the motion to postpone indefinitely.
It's on to,
The question is on the motion to
the
postpone.
question is on the motion to postpone indefinitely.
Is there any further discussion?
Is there any further discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you. I would like to request clarification from the Ethics Commission to make sure that they understand that the board will be voting on the non-teacher raise, which in fact we will also be getting. Okay, so there is control there. There's not separation there.
Make a simple suggestion to this. Every year Social Security gets a cost of living increase. Tie it to whatever their increase is each year and let it be done. That way you don't have to vote
You
on
should
it.
tell him to ask you recognized. Ask if there's any further discussion.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah. Let me,
Go ahead.
again, Social Security gets a cost of living increase every year. Just tie it to that. Nobody's voting on it. It's done by the federal government and move on. y'all are complicating more than $2 a year. I mean, my goodness, come on.
Well, it's,
You know, it's $1 or $2 a year on 2 or 3%.
You can't tell me that
It
we
takes
the
common
only.
sense to get things done, not sit here and talk in
And
circles.
we the only
My goodness.
district in the state of South Carolina, or one of the only districts in the state of South Carolina that doesn't get paid, but majority of them do, and they have to go through this.
No, they don't.
Everybody, yes, I mean, the districts do it vastly different. I'd say about 2/3 are paid, 1/3 are not paid. I mean, that includes 5 in Anderson and 7 in
And the
Spartanburg.
4 in
So
Anderson
that's-
wait and see what we do, see how they do it as
so
well.
that's a lot. And the thing too about school board compensation is, I mean, there's a lot of localist legislation that impacts it. I mean, there's some district, Oconee County is a good example where Oconee, the county council passes what they're going to make. So I mean, it is done vastly different across the state. I mean, it's not,
Maybe that's what we should do then, let the county council or somebody do it then.
They can't get a road.
So the question is on the motion.
I see we got it.
Definitely.
Well, I would like to say, when I got on the board, I knew we were not compensated, and I do have a problem with boards voting to compensate themselves. It's kind of like what's done by people like Nancy Pelosi. But the other thing, I think it's unethical, this cost of living increase, it's like a conflict of interest. I agree with the,
All politicians vote.
Fellas
they
on
pay-
that.
All politicians vote their pay increases.
and then number two, jumping it up from 300 to 500 just already, right off the get-go.
Well, as I have said, and I'll say it again, if it was $2 and you don't want it, you shouldn't matter what it is, because you
Point of
don't
order-
want it.
Point of order, Madam Chair. I think that's out of order that's an attack.
Well, that's an attack to me.
It's a point of order.
The point of order is, or you could rule it well taken or not well taken. Or-
Well, it's not well taken then.
Well, it's taxpayer money.
So I would recommend making clear that we're on the motion to postpone indefinitely. Is there any further discussion?
We're on a motion to postpone indefinitely, and we postponing what indefinitely?
This motion, this policy motion, if you haven't voted on it yet, but is there any further discussion on the motion to postpone indefinitely?
I did have a point of order. Who can recall that if we do it indefinitely?
The motion could be made again at the next meeting.
It could be made again at the next meeting
By any board member?
by any board member.
It would need to be the same as any policy where it has to have previous notice.
Okay, they could have previous notice.
So if there's not any further debate, then call for the vote on the motion to postpone indefinitely.
Is there any more debate
On the motion to postpone indefinitely.
on the motion to postpone indefinitely?
If not, those in favor of postponing indefinitely, say aye.
Those for postponing indefinitely say aye.
Aye.
I mean, I say it again. 4.
4.
Those opposed, say no.
Those opposed say no.
Yeah.
So,
We got Ian there.
Well, he's got to vote,
He hasn't voted on anything yet.
and we haven't had a.
Can you hear?
I don't think you can vote as are your rules unless you rule in otherwise. So, the ayes are 4 and the noes are 4, the motion is lost.
The ayes are 4 and the noes is 4, so the motion is lost.
The question is now on the main motion.
Now the question is on the main motion.
Is there any further discussion on the main motion?
On the main motion, is there any further discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would like to bring back up getting a specific opinion about the cost of living increase, and make sure that that the Ethics Commission knows that the board will be voting on that. Or, Mr. Price, would you tell us what is, generally speaking, the Social Security
It's
percentage?
Mr. Dukes, it's generally, what I see is you 2 to 2.9% most times.
I would be way more in favor of
Yeah,
that.
and that way, it's done by the federal government each year, and it's not, but that's generally what I see is 2 to 3% typically. And I think one time it was 9, but that's rare.
So I'll make a motion that we change it to what Tommy said.
This is a motion to, can you clarify if he's making a motion? to
You're
amend?
making a motion to do
To
what?
Amend it to say what Tommy said.
Tommy, what did you say?
My motion is just tie the increase to the cost of living the Social Security is given by the federal government each year. And that way it wouldn't have to be based on, or voted on each year by the board, and, just for those taking it, it increases that percentage each year. And I think that comes out in November or.
I'll second that.
It's moved and seconded
Enough,
to amend
enough,
by
for our budget
limiting the
process.
increase to the
Yeah.
federal CPI.
I don't want it either,
So you'll state that motion to amend it.
To amend to the motion to the, what you
To amend the policy by tying the increase to the federal CPI.
by the federal CPI.
Those in favor of the motion? Is there any discussion on the motion? to
Is
amend?
there any discussion on that motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I think that's a good, a good meeting in the middle, and it gets to the point of, this is not philosophical, it's technical. And if the election commission says that it's okay to do an automatic cost of living, taking it out of the perception that it's a conflict of interest is it's the right thing to do. So I think that's a good, that's good, thank you.
So the question is on the motion to amend. Is there any further discussion?
Is there any further discussion? Those was on, the motion is on to amend.
Those in favor of amending the motion say aye.
Those in favor of amending the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
Those opposed say no.
Ayes have,
The ayes,
the ayes have it and the motion is amended.
the ayes have it and the motion is amended.
Put me down for a no, too.
So the question is now on the main motion as amended.
Now, the main motion is amended.
Questions on the main motion as amended.
Questions on the main motion that has been amended. Is there any discussion?
Now you can put the question. Those in favor of adopting it at the first reading, say aye.
Those adopting at the first reading, say aye.
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 Those opposed say no.
No, those opposed say no.
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 Can you
1, 2,
count?
3, 4.
Can you count each one?
Raise your hands high so she can count.
What do you want?
Ayes first.
The ayes first.
1, 2, 3, 4. The noes?
The nose is full.
Okay. So the ayes are for, the noes are for, the motion is lost.
The motion is lost.
The next item
Okay.
of business is,
The next item of business is executive session, and
Yeah,
we'll
we
be
got another
doing number
policy.
A.
We got another policy.
we
Got
have,
another policy, IKE, motion, promotion and retention, first reading.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. I recommend approval of the first reading of policy IKE, promotion and retention. The following revisions are as follows. Under the promotion section, language stated as reading in grade 1 and grade 2 is changed to English language arts. We are removing the statement students with individualized education plans, IEPs, will be promoted to the next grade upon satisfactory completion of IEP requirements unless their IEPs specify otherwise. We are removing the words through 5. Adding additional language in grade 3. Students in grade 3 must meet the promotion criteria established by the Read to Succeed Act and state to other assessments as determined by the district. So adding the word state alongside district. Adding a new section for grades 4 and 5. Students will show mastery of grade level standards in core subject areas, including English language arts, mathematics, science, and social studies standards. Mastery will be evidenced by diagnostic test results, other assessments as determined by the district, and classroom performance as defined by the South Carolina Accountability Act, EAA of 1998. We are removing retention grades 3 through 8, that section. We're adding new sections, retention of 3rd grade students. Act 114, Read to Succeed legislation requires that beginning with the 2024-2025 school year, A student must be retained in the third grade if the student fails to demonstrate reading proficiency by scoring does not meet expectations on SE Ready reading. A student may be exempt for good cause from the mandatory retention, but shall continue to receive instructional support and services for reading intervention appropriate for their age and reading level. We are also adding a new section called retention of multilingual learners. Multilingual learners may not be retained solely due to a lack of English proficiency. We are also adding a new section, retention of students with disabilities or suspected disabilities. The retention of a student with an identified or suspected disability should be considered through the team process outlined in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. We are revising the high school and adult education grades 9 through 12 student classification section. We're adding wording in accordance with state accountability measures, and we're updating course requirements for grade 9 to 10, grade 10 to 11, and grade 11 to 12. We are also revising the implementation section, second paragraph. We are adding the following words to this sentence. In grades 3 through 12, a final grade is determined by computing the arithmetic mean of the numerical grades earned at the end of each grading period, with the exception of courses with an end-of-course exam. In kindergarten and grades 1 and 2, a final grade is determined. We are striking through by teacher judgment, based, and adding the word based on the student's demonstrated performance throughout the grading periods. Grades 3 through 5 section revisions, we are striking through one part of that sentence and adding additional language, so it reads as, students in grade 3 failing 1 or 2 of the core subjects, English, language and arts will be capitalized. Mathematics, science, or social studies may be placed in the next grade level and will be provided with interventions to address deficiencies. Students in grades 4 and 5 failing 1 or 2 of the core subjects, we again are capitalizing language arts as it is not capitalized currently. English, language arts, mathematics, science, or social studies may be placed in the next grade level and will be provided with interventions to address deficiencies. Again, language arts was not capitalized. We're changing that and taking out the word will and may. So students in grades 3 through 5 failing both English, language arts, and mathematics may be retained in the present grade. And then, of course, grades 6 through 8 section revisions, again capitalizing language arts as it was not capitalized, and adding the following information to this last sentence in that section. Any student failing 1 or more core subject areas may be placed in the next grade level and will be provided with interventions to address deficiencies. Lastly, in the parents piece of it, parents may appeal the decisions to retain, promote, or require summer school. Under the information to parents and legal guardians section, the following revisions, changing the last sentence where it says the district will also make every effort to educate and inform parent, legal guardians, and students through the district information packet and or in school handbooks, through newsletters, and at parent meetings, striking through PTA and PTO.
Before we discuss, I have a point of order. So my question is, haven't we stolen from Mr. K his right, his elected right to vote in this meeting? He is present at the meeting electronically. It is a common practice that we have done up until this point, and we didn't vote to take that right away. We discussed it. So I would challenge the ruling of the board to make sure that he is able to vote on all of these questions.
I don't think there has been a ruling. There was no.
So why have we robbed him of his right that we've had up until this point without any kind of ruling?
So he's now bringing a point of order, and so now you would have to rule on the point of order. So if you agree with him that he has the right to vote, you would say it's well taken. If you believe that your rules don't allow for it, you would say that his point of order is not well taken.
Well, it's well taken because we don't have a policy.
We've been doing this for
Yeah, they've been
5,
doing
6
this all the
years.
time. When I came on, they were doing it. So you don't have a are you there, Miss, what's her name?
Kay.
Kay? Okay, you are there? Okay.
Madam Chair, may I comment?
Wait,
I don't-
we have to get
Right.
This is not debatable at this point. So you've ruled that,
He should have been voting all the
He's-
time.
you said that it's well taken. So that's the rule
Mhm.
of the chair.
Yeah.
That could be appealed from if somebody appealed, but that's your rule.
Mhm.
So do we need to go back and vote on the tie votes?
Did you hear the voting, Mr. K? What were you voting, were you thinking about voting, or did you vote, or I couldn't hear you?
I was prepared to vote, but I was never given the opportunity.
True.
So shouldn't we go back and, on those tie votes and give him the opportunity?
He would have to
That's
raise,
only fair, I would think, sir.
he would have to raise a point of order that
You think he
the vote
couldn't
was
vote?
known, that the vote was
You tell him he
known.
couldn't
Somebody would
vote?
have to raise a point of order and then you'd have
Point
to
of
vote.
order?
You said
Okay.
I think the tie votes that we've had, are null and void since he was robbed of his right to vote. And I think we should, recall those votes and vote again.
You can say whether his point of order is well taken or not well taken.
Well taken.
So just you rule that the point of order is well taken.
So she have to tell us what it was.
Well, then, if that's the case, then we can go back to the motion and, take the vote again.
Could we go back to the motions that we had?
So, no, but first that can't be done right now because you're currently on,
Yeah.
you're currently on another motion.
Oh, okay.
So,
But no
so,
motion has
so
been made.
you've ruled on the point of order,
Mhm.
but the current motion is this IKE.
We're doing the arcade.
Have we made a motion on that?
No.
If there no motion's been made, okay, then if that's, then that vote, if she's ruled that, then she can go back and call for that vote.
I appealed
But we
it,
have to do this
Okay,
first.
so,
I appealed the decision of the chair
Okay.
to rule the point well taken.
okay, so he's appealed the decision, so, now, it is up for debate. So you can give your opinion first, and then you can ask for any other opinion on the appeal. So he's appealed your decision, which he's allowed to do.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't understand if, Mr. K could hear us, and that's why I went by it, and nobody else said it on the thing, but now that we are here with that, anybody else have anything else to say?
I just
Yes,
wanted to- go
I'd
ahead.
like to say, point of order, we need a policy that reflects that a board member who is attending via phone can vote. It should be in our policy.
Tonight, because we
We're
have
not
to.
changing the policy tonight, we're voting in
Yeah.
this situation,
Yeah.
what we got discussed.
Yeah,
I
because he
just
was
want-
on last week too, last month too.
And this was ruled on when code started and never changed that you could do meetings electronically or virtually.
But it's not in the policy though, right?
It was ruled by the state. I mean, all officials did that.
And our policy does say present. And Mr. K, are you present?
I am present, sir.
Would he be getting board pay for via phone?
Figure that one out later.
Is there any further discussion on the appeal?
Yes. Yes, I
Is there
just,
any further discussion on the appeal?
I just wanted to state that I think it would be good for us to just get a solid clarification, which if we waited, to the next meeting, or sometime where we could get a clear ruling or a clear clarification from our attorney. And I don't see why most of what we've talked about couldn't be brought back up at a later meeting. I don't think we're in, I think in the spirit of allowing Mr. K to participate, I'm certainly not opposed to you, because of this scenario, bringing things back.
Yeah,
I just, now that we've raised this issue and we're all the way through the meeting, proceeding in the face of uncertainty, I don't think is wise.
I wonder how Mr., excuse me, Madam
See
Chair.
if there's any further debate.
Is there any further debate? What,
The
Mr.
situation is, I was never afforded the opportunity to vote because she never paused and came to me and asked me to vote.
True.
So it's not like, like we skipped over. Y'all didn't ask me my right to vote or what my vote was. I was here
Yes.
And I would think Mr. K's constituents would hate to have their vote robbed by not going back and giving Mr. K the opportunity to represent his constituents.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have a comment. If we deem Mr. K present, as I'm present, and we are all present, I was not called on to vote. I was just asked to vote when it came time. I voted yea or nay. Mr. K had that opportunity. So, Mr. Parliamentarian, from the beginning, we didn't take his right to vote away, correct?
I've been on mute.
Oh.
So are you raising that as a,
We didn't, no, I'm not. I'm just asking for clarification. We didn't take away his vote, did we? I mean, we didn't take away his opportunity to vote. I didn't know he was on mute. I don't know
We
how that happened.
certainly didn't count it.
No, but if he's present, and we're saying he's present on the phone, we shouldn't have to call on him. He should say, and we're doing a voice vote, and now hand raising, that was difficult on the phone, but now that we're doing a voice vote, he could have said yay or nay. I mean, so we didn't,
The Parliament,
we didn't take that away from him.
I'm not gonna say anything if I'm on mute.
But if he was on mute, then I can't apologize. I don't know what happened, but I'm sorry that happened.
the question is on the appeal. Is there any further discussion on the appeal?
Is there any further discussion on the appeal?
yes.
Jeff?
Does Mr. K get the opportunity to vote on the appeal?
That would be a ruling of the chair, but she's ruled on that he's allowed to vote. So I would say we should have to call on it.
Yes, we will count his vote.
So now, is there any further discussion on the appeal?
Is there any further discussion on the appeal?
Those in favor of sustaining the chair, say aye.
Those who are
In favor of
in
sustaining-
favor
Of sustaining the
of
chair,
abstaining the chair, say,
sustaining the chair,
sustaining the chair,
say aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Clarification, that would be voting with the chair. Okay.
With the chair's vote.
Count the number of people that want to sustain the chair.
We sustaining the chair, Mr.
Okay.
K.
Your vote?
Huh?
Roll call vote, please.
Roll call. He asked for a roll call vote.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, we got
So-
one.
No, Cindy?
No.
She's not voting.
No, she's voting no.
She's voting no, but I thought we just do the counting and tell him,
The roll call, you have to itemize.
okay,
Call on each person.
okay. Sydney?
No.
Sydney says no.
Paul, yes.
Paul says yes.
Dukes, no.
Duke says no.
Price, yes.
Price says yes.
Bradshaw says yes.
Sandra says yes.
No.
Kay says yes.
Kay says yes. Thompson says no.
No.
And
Haywood,
Haywood says no.
5-4.
5-4.
Five that you want. Five voted to sustain the chair?
Yeah.
Okay. So the
Five, so the vote,
vote, the ruling of the chair is sustained.
so the voting of the ruling of the chair sustained.
So, now, if you are, if you ruled that previous vote was in error because of that, if that was your ruling, then you could hold that vote again.
Okay.
That was your ruling.
Okay. So, but do we're gonna vote on this or not?
Nobody's raised a motion. This motion has not been made.
Okay.
So it would be in order, since if you've ruled that this vote was not taken correctly, then you can continue that vote.
Okay. We're going back to, the vote for policy A, policy BID, board member compensation and expenses for first reading.
Those in favor of
Those in favor of adopting
the first policy.
the first policy,
Say aye.
say aye.
Mr. K?
Those opposed say no.
What?
Mr. K, did you say aye?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Those opposed say no.
Those opposed say no.
No.
5-4.
The ayes have it.
The ayes have it,
The
and
first reading.
the first reading
Is adopted.
is adopted.
Point of order. There was an opportunity for discussion or any substitute motions or motions to amend what we just went back to. Would that be possible at this point, or is that?
That should have been raised prior to the vote.
Okay.
Prior to the vote.
So the next item of business is?
The next item of business is E, policy IKE, promotion and retention. First reading, and superintendent has already read that.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve policy IKE, promotion and retention, first reading.
Is there any discussion?
I'll second it.
Second. Is there any discussion? Ayes.
Those opposed?
Those opposed?
No.
1.
Mr. K?
5-1.
Mr. K,
He voted.
your vote?
Mr. K, did you
He said
vote?
aye.
Hello?
Yes, did you vote?
Should have been voting the whole time.
Yes.
Thank you. 1, discussion of employment, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, and release of employee regulated by a public body. A, personal, where am I? Personnel recommendation and resignation.
And also,
Also, section 3470A2, discussion of safety plan and drills.
those in favor of
Those in favor going
going into
into executive session, aye.
Aye.
Opposers? Ayes have it, we're in executive session. We are now in executive session.
Oh, regular session.
I mean, regular session. Do you still there, Mr. K? I can never think of his name.
Mr. K?
So this was postponed to right after executive session, so the question is on policy EBCD as amended.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good.
And you voted to come out of executive session, is that right?
Yes, I did, that's correct.
The question on policy EBCB as amended, is there further discussion?
This was the safety plans and
I
drills.
make a motion to pass policy EBCB, safety plans and drills, second reading is presented.
I second.
Motion's already,
Motion is
it's
second.
already on, the motion's
Okay.
already on too, so if there's no further discussion, then you can ask for the vote.
Is there no further discussion? Can we
I have a question.
discuss?
Did we eliminate the words?
No.
We did not.
Oh, yeah, the amendment is as amended. So that was amended to remove those words. So
Oh, it
you-
was to take them out?
It was, I believe, and Secretary Barrett, but I believe that you voted to remove them. If you wanted to undo that, you do a motion to reconsider.
Oh, that's right, when we were in here, you voted to take them out, but then when we discussed it, it was like it's okay to keep it, okay.
So unless there's a motion to reconsider, they're in. So if there's no further discussion, then you call for a vote.
Okay. Is there no further discussion?
Yes. Taking the words out.
Yes. If I was not on the prevailing side, I can't reconsider it.
He could ask someone else to, but someone on the prevailing side would have to make the motion to reconsider.
But they couldn't because they're not, oh,
And if somebody wants to make the motion that vote on the prevailing side to reconsider, they could. But you don't have to say anything. So if nobody says anything, then you can take the vote,
but now we're ready to vote.
unless there's further discussion.
Is there further discussion?
Those in favor of the
Those in
policy as
favor
amended?
of this policy
As amended?
as amended,
Say aye.
Aye.
say aye.
Uh,
No,
No.
one no.
Ayes have it, the policy is adopted.
Oh, I don't know what you did. What did you do?
Aye.
How about
What did you do, Mr., was you aye? Aye, Mr. K.
The ayes have it, the motion is adopted.
The ayes have it and a motion is adopted.
Next item of business is whatever you have in here, whatever you have to follow up action necessary. Person.
I'd like to make
I
a
make a
motion.
motion we adjourn.
No.
Almost.
I'm right there with you. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the personnel recommendation by the administration.
I'll second that.
It is moved in second.
It's moved in second, any discussion?
Those in favor?
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
Those opposed say no.
The ayes have it, the motion
The
is
ayes
adopted.
have it, the motion is passed.
Now,
I'll
Chair.
make a motion we adjourn.
Is there discussion?
Yeah, we're gonna discuss it a while.
second.
Second.
I second it.
It's been moved and properly second that we have
Those in favor?
those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Those opposed?
We are adjourned.